Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Tuesday. Just a Tuesday. Not a victory Tuesday. Just a plain old Tuesday. We're here with you for the next 3 hours on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Online at 580WIBW.com. And in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook video stream, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're catching the show today, thanks so much for being part of the audience here on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis and Brendan Dworzinski will both be along in a little while. Chiefs lost last night, and I'm still processing how in the world it is that the Chiefs lost that game last night, because the Chiefs never lose that game. And yet, I guess there's no such thing as never, right? Because that's the scoreboard, does not lie. 31-28 Jacksonville at the end of the night. Chiefs are 2-3, staring at an uphill climb with the Detroit Lions, maybe the NFC's best team, coming to Arrowhead on a short week for the Chiefs this coming week. Just when it looked like the vibes had returned, the Chiefs lose in confounding fashion. And I would listen to an argument that that is one of the worst losses of the Patrick Mahomes era. We will break it all down. If you've got some spleen still left to vent, bring it on into the program today. Want to hear from you. Frustrating, confounding, inexplicable, frustrating. I said frustrating twice. I think every Chief said frustrating, so just consider that regurgitation of the word that was on the lips of every Kansas City Chief following last night's Monday Night Football defeat in Jacksonville. We will break it all down. We will talk about the mistakes that led to the Chiefs losing a game that, again, they don't lose. Quite literally. When they had gained over 375 and allowed less than 350 total yards in a game with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, they had never lost. Never. They were 28-0. Now they're 28-1. They were 23-1 when they outgained opponents by 150 or more yards in a game, which they did by some distance last night. Now they're 23-2. And last year, as was well documented, the Chiefs were 12-0 in one-score games, and this year so far, they are 0-3. How did this happen? Is there a broader explanation than it be like that sometimes? We'll try to drive at one as we go along this Tuesday edition of the program. Lots of Chiefs talk. We're going to talk about the mistakes. We're going to talk about another disaster night for special teams. We're going to talk about two handsomely compensated members of this Chiefs roster who have yet to really help the team in any meaningful fashion through 5 weeks. We'll talk about the team they just lost to. If you left last night feeling like the Jaguars were the better football team, I don't know what to tell you. That's not what I saw. But they're 4-1, and now they got the tiebreaker on the Chiefs, just in case that's relevant come December for playoff positioning purposes. We'll talk about it all on the program today, and definitely want to hear from you. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. You can also comment if you are watching on the YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel. We lost a subscriber. Somebody must have deactivated their YouTube account. I can't imagine anybody seeing all the great content we give you every day on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel and then deciding, actually, I don't want this. So just assume somebody deactivated their Google account or something like that. Anyway, we need a replacement, and we need a new subscriber. Who's our hero today? Go subscribe. Smash that subscribe button over at 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And hop in the live chat while you're there, like Mark and Andrew have so far today. Hello to you, gentlemen. Look forward to hearing from the two of you and more as we go along on this Tuesday edition of the program. And again, go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet, because when we get to 900 subscribers, we're going to sing for you. 580 Sports Talk Karaoke when we get to 900 subscribers. That's our next stretch goal for subscribers. Won't just be Chiefs on the show today. Our guest in the 4 o'clock hour will be Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. We got plenty to get to in Jayhawk Weekly. KU's win at UCF, looking ahead to their big trip to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech on Saturday night, primetime Jayhawks. Also, some big news on the basketball recruiting trail for Bill Self and the men's basketball program that we'll discuss as well. We'll also talk about KU at the midway point amongst ourselves here, 580 Sports Talk crew. What's been better than we thought? What hasn't quite come along the way we thought? And where can KU go from here in their final 6 games? Because they are 4-2. They are very much on track for bowl eligibility, and they are very much still in the mix for a berth in the Big 12 championship game, or as much in the mix as you can be or not be 3 games into a 9-game league schedule. So plenty of Jayhawk talk coming up a little bit later on in the show today. Plus our typical Tuesday shenanigans. We'll do some Random Question Tuesday. We'll got headlines, including a playoff roundup from the baseball side. Another round of What Is Wrong With You, of course. And like I mentioned, your interactions, the text line 785-272-9429, and on the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. Before we dive in, I want to remind people that we are running the fall cash contest on 580WIBW.com. There's a link on the top left of the page. There's also a link in the bar at the very top of the page that says contest. You can just click on that. But here's the crux of it. Every hour I give you a keyword. You go within this hour, this 3 o'clock hour, to 580WIBW.com. You enter the keyword, you enter your info, and you are registered for a chance to win $2,000. We gave away $2,000 yesterday. We're going to give away $2,000 today. We're going to do it tomorrow through Friday, and we're going to do it all next week too, Monday through Friday. $2,000 a day, every weekday, this week and next at 580WIBW.com. This hour's keyword is phone. I'm holding mine up for the benefit of our viewers. This case is gross. I'm so due for an upgrade. I haven't upgraded my phone in like 5 years. Phone is the keyword. Phone. Phone. Go enter that keyword at 580WIBW.com. Hit the contest tab or that link at the top left of the page. Give yourself a chance to win $2,000. Chiefs 28, Jaguars 31. And this is how the other half lives. In case you were curious, and I don't imagine any Chiefs fan was. I don't imagine any Chiefs fan wanted to live the way the other half lives. After last season going 12-0 in one-score games, it was always the Chiefs who had the chance to make the play late and did. Whether it was the offense driving to put Harrison Butker or Matthew Wright or the other guy whose name I've already forgotten in position. Was it Spencer Schrader, the kid who just got hurt for the Colts? I think it was Spencer Schrader. Whoever it was to kick a game-winning field goal last year in the final seconds, or whether it was Leo Chanel blocking a field goal, or Nick Bolton meeting Tyler Algier in the hole, or whoever it was, I think it was Bolton falling on the fumble, the bad snap of the Black Friday game against the Raiders. It was always the Chiefs who executed, who made the play, who, if you wanted to argue, got a little lucky. But the end result was always the same last year. If it was close and it was late, the Chiefs were going to win. And they were 12-0 in those situations last year, but they've been winners in those situations for the better part of Andy Reid's tenure and for the better part of Patrick Mahomes' time as the starting quarterback. They would out-execute you. Their elite talent would make the difference. Their elite brain power on the sideline would make the difference in the fourth quarter. Somebody would come up with a play, and the Chiefs would win. We know this. It's a tenet of faith in the Chiefs' kingdom, right? Close game, Chiefs will win. It'll be fine. They'll figure it out. They'll get it done. They fell behind on that long field goal with 8 minutes left. I didn't have any doubt, given the way the Chiefs had moved the ball for the better part of the night. I didn't have any doubt the Chiefs were going to get in the scoring range. They milked the clock. They picked up first downs. Mahomes pulled a Houdini act on a scramble. They scored with 1:45 to go. Jacksonville's got 2 timeouts, but they need to go all the way down the field and score a touchdown. I figure somebody's going to make a play. I didn't figure that somebody was going to be Trevor Lawrence. He was the one who made the play from his wallet, from his backside, getting up to scramble for the game-winning 1-yard touchdown with 23 seconds to go. And we'll talk more about Chris Jones because I know he's taken a lot of stick the last 12, 24 hours not quite 24 hours. We're going to talk more about Chris Jones, but at the same time, you can fault everybody's effort on that play if you want. Even if the Chiefs had made a stop on the play, Brian Cook got flagged for holding. I'll be frank, I've watched the replay a couple times. I didn't see Brian Cook hold. Maybe they had the wrong guy and it was somebody somewhere else. But even if the Chiefs had gotten a stop on that play, they didn't really get a stop on that. They would not have really gotten a stop on that play. And the Jaguars were likely to score. They were likely to score because they'd completed a deep pass on 3rd down and 7, because Jalen Watson missed deflecting the ball away from Brian Thomas Jr., just mistimed his jump by about a millisecond. They had that opportunity because of a pass interference in the end zone on 3rd and 13, because Shamari Connor was in man coverage on Brian Thomas, because the powers that be have decided that rather than play Noel Williams, they would rather keep Trent McDuffie on the outside instead of move him to the slot, where I remind you again, he was an All-Pro 2 years ago, and put Shamari Connor on the field all the time. And that is not an exaggeration. Shamari Connor has sat out 1 defensive snap in 4 weeks. He's missed 1 snap. And he is the primary slot defender for the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was him in the slot on Brian Thomas. He committed the pass interference in the end zone. It was the right call. Tried to get his head around, but again, he was late. He was late getting his head around, and it was the right flag to throw. And 1 play later, Jacksonville wins the game. So, again, we don't do excuses on this program, but we do reasons, because there are 1,000 reasons you fail, but there aren't any excuses. And there are 1,000 reasons you lose a 1-score game in the NFL. It's every snap, right? You can boil it down to, if something different had gone the Chiefs' way or not Jacksonville's way on 1 snap, pick one, then the outcome is probably different. So choose your own adventure. Why did the Chiefs lose that game? Because their mistake was maximally impactful and maximally painful. And that's twice now in 3 losses where the Chiefs have had effectively a 14-point swing on a single play. Patrick Mahomes throwing that 99-yard pick 6 to Devin Lloyd. Credit to the Jaguar defense. That was a scenario. And Mahomes, if you didn't hear his post-game remarks, he walked everybody through it. He said, look, I saw the pre-snap look. I had seen them do this before, show the same pre-snap look and bring a blitz. And it was against the Bengals, and Jamar Chase was open on a slant for a touchdown. So I knew what I expected to see was the same thing, and Juju pop open. And that's why he threw it so quick off his back foot, because he expected something based on the pre-snap read, except this time the Jaguars bailed out of the blitz, and Devin Lloyd was there to undercut the throw. Sometimes you throw rock and the other guys throw paper. Tip your cap. But a 14-point swing, at a bare minimum 10, right? Because let's say Lloyd drops the ball. Chiefs have to kick a field goal, or maybe they go for it and they don't get it, but you're not guaranteed the 7. But it sure feels like, the way the Chiefs are moving the ball, that was going to be 6 for Kansas City. It ends up 6 the other way for Jacksonville. And when you combine that with the dropped pass by Kelsey at the goal line that turned into the interception and the long return that set up a touchdown for Philadelphia in week 2, that's twice now that 1 play in a game has been a 14-point swing, effectively. And in 2 3-point games, yeah, it's kind of a big deal. Why else did the Chiefs lose that game? They didn't get a chance really to have the ball last 23 seconds in a timeout. I know we've seen Mahomes work miracles with 13 seconds in a playoff game. He had peak of his powers Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill in that scenario in the 13 seconds game. With respect to this group of pass catchers, they don't have a peak of their powers Tyreek Hill and a peak of their powers Travis Kelce out there, because special teams are an abomination. That was the worst special teams game I can recall from the Kansas City Chiefs. How do you get penalized 4 times for holding on kick returns? Even if the last one was a little ticky-tack, and I kind of think it was, on, was that Christensen? Christensen, I think, on Rashard Smith's last return. The Chiefs would have been out close to the 40-yard line, wouldn't have needed much to get into position to let Butker at least try a field goal. Instead, they had to start back at their own 17. Because penalties were the only thing really that stopped the Chiefs offense all night. Because Drew Tranquill and Nick Bolton couldn't agree on who should get the easiest interception either one of them was going to have all season. That drop pick ended up sustaining a drive that produced Jacksonville's first touchdown. And look, they're linebackers and not like fullbacks, pass catchers for a reason, but at the same time, that ball's just floating there. That is just, call it like a center fielder calls off a left fielder. Somebody needed to shout, I got it. And the Chiefs turned the Jaguars over for the second time, and instead, that's not what happened. Because on the final drive, Jalen Watson mistimed his jump by half a second. Because Shamari Connor missed getting his head around in the end zone and gets flagged for pass interference. 1,000 reasons you lose. But no excuses. You're 0-3 now if you're the Chiefs in these one-score games. You have to fix special teams. You have to stop committing special teams penalties. You have to cover kicks better. You have to stop having a Harrison Butker disaster of the week. Even on a week where he made his kicks, kicking the ball out of bounds was unforgivable from the veteran. You have to finish drives better. Interception of the goal line, pretty impactful. Don't do it. Give the defense credit for making a play, but also don't turn it over. Don't commit the stupid penalties. Don't open hand slap somebody on the side of the head, Hollywood Brown, after a play is over and cost your team 15 yards, put them in a 2nd and 24. Don't commit a first down holding penalty, Kingsley Sumatai. Don't line up improperly and draw another flag on Jawan Taylor, which actually wasn't his fault because I think it was Tyquan Thornton was lined up incorrectly. The penalties. This is a major problem for the Chiefs this year. Josh Dubow of the Associated Press had these stats. The Chiefs are tied for 6th in the NFL in enforced penalties per game. That's not a stat you want to be in the top 10 in. They have had 70 enforced penalty yards against them per game. That is 5th in the league. That's not something you want to be top 5 in. Their penalty differential on the year, they have committed 13 more penalties than their opponents. Now, that's a little skewed because last night, they got 13 penalties called on them to Jacksonville's 4. But still, negative 13 in the penalty differential. That is tied for 2nd worst in the NFL. Penalty yardage differential, minus 90. They are 3rd worst in the NFL in penalty yardage differential. Penalties are killing this football team. If you're inclined, as some are, to feel good about some things you are seeing from the Chiefs, in particular the offense, which looks like it's got a chance to really enter the stratosphere when they get Rashee Rice back in 2 weeks. This is as good as the Chiefs have looked in 3 years. This is as good as Mahomes has looked in 3 years. When they went up 14-0, I had already started sketching out today's show, and the first thing I was going to do was talk about Patrick Mahomes is going to win the MVP. He's playing great. The scrambling, obviously, more than you'd like to see, but he's one of the great scramblers and improvisers in the league, and he's adding value to the team. But, man, he's throwing darts. He looks in full command of the passing game, full trust in his teammates. He didn't get sacked last night. No sacks allowed by this offensive line that seems to get better week in and week out. The Chiefs' offense, after a couple of years where it felt like less than the sum of its parts, now feels like it's reaching fully operational Death Star status again. And I'm really excited to see what it looks like. Xavier Worthy gets over that ankle tweak, and Rashee Rice is back in week 7. If you're inclined to be optimistic about the rest of this season, because of what the offense looks like, because some of the things were uncharacteristic last night, because you feel like the defense is going to bounce back and be better in the second half of the season, which is typical for Steve Spagnuolo Chiefs defenses, I'm not going to stop you. But know this. The Chiefs are staring 2-4 dead in the face because Detroit might be better than they are. And Detroit's coming to town on a short week or for the Chiefs. It's a short week for the Chiefs, not a short week for the Lions. But Detroit's coming to town on Sunday Night Football. And if the Chiefs trick that one off, because they can lose to that Jaguar team, do you know how hard it is to make more mistakes in a football game than the Jacksonville Jaguars? You know how hard that is? Jaguars peed all over their legs last night, repeatedly. The Chiefs just did it more. And if you're going to do that against the Detroit Lions, you're going to be 2-4 when you get Rashee Rice back. And then you're out of mulligans. You want to win the division? You might have to run the table. You want the number 1 seed? You definitely are going to have to run the table. Would I put any of it past this Chiefs team? No, I wouldn't, but that's really hard. That's what the Chiefs have done. They have made the rest of this regular season exceedingly hard on themselves. And unnecessarily hard on themselves. Because they have lost 3 games now, by my count, that they should not have lost. They should not have lost to the Chargers. They should not have lost to the Eagles. And they absolutely should not have lost that football game last night. They are better than Jacksonville. They beat them 8 out of 10. I guarantee it. Too many mistakes. Mistakes in all 3 phases. And one mistake above all that is maximally painful. A touchdown drive turning into a 99-yard pick six. A 14-point swing in a 3-point game. And this is how the other half has lived. Playing the Kansas City Chiefs for the better part of the last, decade? Now you know what it's like. And it sucks. I want your reaction. We got some texts we'll get to. We got some YouTube comments that we're going to get to. Again, 580 Sports Talks, the YouTube channel. Text line is 785-272-9429. We'll get to your reaction. Some more thoughts this hour on 2 handsomely compensated Chiefs that had better start playing better in a hurry for this team to reach its full potential. We're going to talk some Jayhawks in the 4 o'clock hour. Michael Swain's going to join us. We got a jam-packed show for you today. Glad you're along for the ride on this Tuesday on 580 Sports Talk. .331 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero hanging out with you. Spencer Dupuis and Brendan Dworzinski will both be along later on in the show. As expected, some good user or listener interaction following that Chiefs loss to the Jaguars last night. We'll start on the text line. Similar sentiment was expressed in the YouTube comments. Text from 785, is Jack Cochran cut yet? Was Cochran, I thought it was Christensen. Maybe I'm wrong. Double check the... Yeah, it was Cochran, 43. Cochran and Christensen. The last name's too similar. Anyway, yeah, Cochran got called for the hold on Rashard Smith's return. He returned that kickoff with 23 seconds left out to the 36-yard line. And at that point, you probably only need about 20 yards to feel like, okay, we'll give Butker a chance from 60, 61. He's got enough leg for it. You need 20 yards with 2 timeouts, 17 seconds. Feel like the Chiefs can get that. Maybe more than that, make it a little bit of an easier kick. But no, it comes back on the Cochran hold. I didn't love that call. They didn't spend much time lingering on it. Like, Cochran's got fistful of jersey, but his hands are inside the shoulder pads. Usually they let that go. But here's the problem. When you commit 3 penalties on kick returns, the officials are watching to see if you commit a 4th. It's sort of like, if you're a pitcher and your pitches are wild, you're all over the place, you're not going to get the borderline call. And if you're committing penalties all over the place on kick returns, the officials are going to be watching like a hawk. They're not going to miss anything. And they didn't miss Cochran with a couple of fistful of jersey on that block. So I actually thought his penalty was probably the weakest of the 4. If you want to argue Remigio's illegal double team block, which was kind of a strange explanation that we got on the ESPN broadcast. But yeah, I'm not going to make him the scapegoat necessarily, but that was brutal. That was certainly extinguished the final chance for the Chiefs to have won the game. Some comments from the YouTube. Again, 580 Sports Talk is the YouTube channel. And we got some commenters in today. Andrew, we'll go to Andrew first. Andrew says, how about let's play a spy so Trevor Lawrence doesn't run all over the field? Yeah, I don't know why they didn't spy Trevor Lawrence last night, especially after he did start carving the Chiefs up with his legs. He finished the game with 54 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And I can only remember one play off the top of my head where it looked like Leo Chanel was spying. And I actually think that worked. I think they flushed him out of the pocket to the left or right, and he either gained a very short gain and it came back on a hold, I think was that particular play. That's the only time I can remember seeing Chanel lurking at the line as a spy. I don't know why they didn't spy him. They didn't spy Justin Herbert in week 1 either. They did spy Lamar Jackson. So I tell Steve Spagnuolo it's some white quarterbacks that can use their legs too, right? Like, come on, is this some reverse discrimination happening right now? Trevor Lawrence can move, man. Yeah, I think you after a while you got to make that adjustment. The Chiefs never really did. So that was a tough one. That was a bit of a head scratcher. I didn't love the defensive game plan last night. We can talk more about that a little bit later on. Paul with a good point here. The Chiefs' cowardice of punting from their own 45 or closer with the offensive talent they have is getting old. Opening drive of the game for the Chiefs, they punted on 4th and 2 from the Jacksonville 46. I don't know, particularly when you saw how readily the Chiefs moved the ball the rest of the night and how often they were able to get 2 yards whenever they wanted to get 2 yards. That decision looked worse and worse and worse as the game went on. I think we're back in a mode where, yeah, you've got 4th and 2 or less and you're in plus territory. Keep the offense out there. I know it's early in the game. And look, Andy Reid is Andy Reid. He's never going to entirely change his spots. But that was bad. That struck me right from the get-go as, I don't like this decision at all. And it wasn't even a good punt. It was a 32-yard punt by Ariza. Fair cut at the 14. It's not even a good punt. Not even a really good outcome. So, yeah, bad decision. Can't defend that one. But that's who Andy Reid is. Who he's kind of always been. Tyler with a good point in the comments as well. Last 3 years, this team and Mahomes have let other teams hang around. Being comfortable with a lead in football is a death sentence. Only a matter of time before it catches up. So that's what we're familiar with the Chiefs, right? Like, okay, sure. It's a close game, 4th quarter, within a score. Well, one of two things is going to happen. Either the Chiefs are going to have the ball last, and Mahomes is going to go make a series of plays and either get him into field goal range if they need a field goal or score a touchdown if they need a touchdown. It's a lot of trust in Patrick Mahomes, right? Warranted. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. But it's a lot of trust in option A. Option B, all right, the defense is going to make a play. And so often, it's been number 95. If anybody's followed me on various social media channels for any period of time, something I'm fond of saying, and I usually bring it to the show, it's always Chris Jones. How often has it been Chris Jones with the third down sack to get a team out of field goal range, or a tackle for a loss against a run on a 3rd and short, or a drive-altering sack in the 4th quarter? It's always Chris Jones. It has not been Chris Jones this season. And in the absence of that particular playmaker on defense, the defense is kind of crying out for somebody else to go out and make that game-deciding play. And nobody made that play on the final drive. They had the one sack, Karlaftis and was it Chanel or Tranquil? I can't remember now. They had the one play there on that final drive. Yeah, Chanel. That might have been another play where they spied too, come to think of it. They forced the 3rd and 7, and Trevor Lawrence dropped one in the bucket to Brian Thomas. And I thought the coverage was actually pretty good. They had the safety rolled to the right side of the field on the backside. They had Jalen Watson running stride for stride. Watson goes up to try and deflect it, just missed it. If he waits, or if he doesn't jump at all and just puts his arm out in front of the receiver, bats it away. I think 4th down at that point, then who knows? But that reception made it feel almost inevitable that the Jaguars were going to win the game, and then ultimately did. But that's what has not happened. You have not had the defensive play that defines the game. The Chiefs have not come up with that defensive stop, whether that's a 3rd down stop to get the ball back or a turnover or whatever. They have not come up with that play. And the end result has been the Chiefs offense hasn't really had a chance. Like, that's what you want if you're a Chiefs fan, is, well, we want Mahomes with the ball and a chance to go tie or win the game in the dying seconds. Well, you finally got that against Jacksonville, but with 2 timeouts and you got to go from your 17 with 16 seconds left into field goal range, and they still almost did it. If Hollywood Brown's looking for that deep over when they ran on the 2nd down play, if Marquise Brown's looking for that ball, he might have been able to run into field goal range on his own. I don't know why he would not have been looking for the football. Very strange play. And it almost worked, right? But in the Eagles game, Mahomes never got the ball back. Eagles kneeled out the clock. Charger game, Herbert had that long 3rd down run, slid to a stop, clock ran to the 2-minute warning. Chargers kneeled out the clock. You're not giving your best player a chance to meaningfully influence the final minutes of the game. That is the thing that has always happened for the Chiefs. That was the thing that happened over and over and over again for the Chiefs last season, and that is the thing that is not happening for the Chiefs so far this season. Goober Train, welcome in, Goober says, one thing I've noticed, I feel like the blitz packages Spags has been using have not been the same. Teams don't seem scared of the 3rd down blitz that are coming. Feel the blitz packages are no longer as effective compared to last year. Guys aren't getting penetration. Well, it starts with the front 4. Like, the blitz has worked against Baltimore, right? Like, it was a banner day for Spags and the defense against Baltimore. But last night, Jacksonville did a really nice job picking up the blitzes. Their 3rd down back, whose name is eluding me, did a really outstanding job picking up blitzes. And, they didn't get home. But it starts, again, with the front 4. And the front 4 is not getting enough pressure on a snap-over-snap basis. And that starts with Chris Jones. And we're going to talk about Chris Jones. And we're going to talk about another highly paid Chief off to a slow start in 2025. Not as highly paid, but you probably know who I'm talking about. We're going to get to those two guys next here on 580 Sports Talk. It's 344 on 580 Sports Talk. Again, digesting that Chiefs loss to the Jaguars last night. The Jayhawker points out in the YouTube comments that the Chiefs have 2 wins against 1-4 teams so far. They do. That's a correct accounting of the Chiefs' 2 wins so far this year. It's also fair to point out that they blew out those 2 teams, which is what you're supposed to do to inferior competition, and that their 3 losses are by 3 points each to teams that are combined 11-4. So that's the fuller accounting of where the Chiefs are at right now. More so than to just say, well, they haven't beaten anybody any good. Well, you play who you play. It's 5 games into the season. Obviously, they can change that perception of themselves. They could take care of business against the Lions on Sunday Night Football at home. Primetime Chiefs at home have been pretty reliable over the years. Not perfect, but pretty successful broadly. Also, they have lost a primetime home game to the Lions in recent memory. Thank you, Kadarius Toney. So, again, you can be half full, half empty with this team. Absolutely. You can be half empty. They're 2-3. They've got tough schedule still ahead before they can get to the bye. Some very losable games up ahead. Glass half full says, look, I don't think they're going to go 0-12 in one-score games this year like they went 12-0 last year. I think that would be pretty unlikely that this team now cannot close. I think what they have lacked so far this year, as I was saying as we went to break, they have lacked that big play from the defense late in the game that either seals the game or gives Patrick Mahomes the ball with a chance to go seal the game. We haven't really seen that opportunity for the Chiefs this season. And a big part of that reason is because Chris Jones has yet to really join the party in 2025. Jones has 1 sack in 5 weeks. He had 1 tackle yesterday, was credited with a quarterback hit, according to the ESPN statistics. And, of course, everybody's seen the game-winning touchdown play and Chris Jones's effort, if you can call it that, on that final play. The generous reading, and you can't see what my eyes are doing if you're not watching the live stream, but just trust that I'm making a face. The generous reading of Jones's effort on that play is that he is doing his best to remain in his lane and his space just in case Lawrence were to cut back. Remember, it was Chris Jones not staying in his rushing lane that allowed Justin Herbert to run for the game-stealing first down against the Chargers. He brought that up. Jones brought up the rush lane thing specifically after the game, not in regards to that play, but in a way that suggests he's aware of a need to be gap and lane responsible in those goal-to-go situations. I have more of a problem with Jerry Tillery not tackling Lawrence when he had a chance to tackle him than I am bothered with Chris Jones kind of loafing on the play, because Jones isn't going to catch him anyway. Defense was winded. Jones was not going to catch him. Jones looked exhausted on that play. He's a big guy. He's in his 30s. So that's what the question is, because people are going to come away from that and have a reaction. Oh, he's dogging it. He doesn't care about the team. I've seen a lot of that out there today. Just might be an old football player. That might be what the Chiefs have right now, is a declining Chris Jones. That's a problem. That's a problem, because dominant Chris Jones is what so much of this team is built around. The idea that you have a uniquely dominant interior pass rush force. Where did most of the scrambles come from for Trevor Lawrence last night? They were up the middle of the field. It's really hard to cut up the middle of the field when Chris Jones is eating up that space, when Chris Jones is caving in the pocket. Now, to Jacksonville's credit, they double-teamed Jones more than any team in the league has double-teamed him to date. They were able to keep Chris Jones from making the kind of impact we've seen Jones have on games in his career. But it's 5 games in, and we have yet to see Chris Jones wreck a football game. And as a result, it feels like something is lacking with the base 4-man pass rush for the Kansas City Chiefs. And if we don't start seeing impactful Chris Jones, That's a problem that this Chiefs defense is going to solve. For me right now, that is the primary concern for the Chiefs moving forward. I'm not worried a lick about their offense. I think we're back in a situation where the Chiefs can pick their number as long as they don't do stupid stuff. They can pick how many points they want to score. First time I felt like that was the case since 2022. Mahomes is playing great football. The running game, it's not spectacular, but it's effective. Some good runs last night from both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. I feel really good about the offense. I still feel good about the secondary. I would like to see the Chiefs immediately change personnel and just play Noah Williams. Noah Williams got 4 snaps, man. We spent all last week talking about Noah Williams is grading out the best of any corner in the NFL. The Chiefs must not be grading him very highly because he only got 4 snaps last night against a bunch of tiny speed wide receivers. Wouldn't you want Noah Williams, Mr. Physical Press Corner, on the outside? Wouldn't you want your best slot defender, Trent McDuffie, guarding Brian Thomas in the slot on the most important down of the game? That's what I would want. So that is concern number one for me for the Chiefs is, when is Chris Jones going to arrive to the party? He's got to make bigger impacts in games for the Chiefs defense to be the best version of itself. And if he doesn't, then I don't know what it looks like long-term for the Chiefs defense. I still think it can be good, but I don't think it can get to great without Chris Jones being who we've become accustomed to him being. And look, it would not be the first time a guy gets to his early 30s, having played a lot of football, a 300-plus pound man in his 30s in the trenches, and you just can't get to that level anymore. Would not be the first time that's happened in NFL history. But the Chiefs need it. They need it badly because they are missing that element. They are certainly missing that big play clutch element that it seems like Jones has brought to the team for so many years. The other guy who's got to get his act together is Harrison Butker. He's been more useless than his political action committee this season for the Chiefs. He made all his kicks yesterday. That was great. But how do you kick it out of bounds in that spot with less than 2 minutes to go and just give Jacksonville a short field? That's horrific. It cannot be that every single game, as you're one of the highest paid kickers in the league, you cannot be a reason you are hurting your team. And Harrison Butker has been a net negative for the Chiefs through 5 games. He has actively harmed their ability to win football games. That can't continue. Not for the money you're paying that kicker. Be one thing if it were a rookie. You cut him and you go find the next guy. This is Harrison Butker. He's one of the most reliable kickers in NFL history. One of the great big game kickers in NFL history. And we've seen him miss kicks here and there, but I can't remember a 5-game stretch where he was more harmful to his team than he has been to start this season. He better shape up. Because fans are not going to tolerate that kind of performance from a kicker, especially a very highly paid kicker. And Dave Toub and Andy Reid shouldn't either. We'll take one last break. We'll come back. We will wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk next. Couple more reactions from the YouTube comments. Jeff A.L., welcome in, Jeff. Appreciate you chiming in on the show today, asking if I'm the Chiefs, am I worried at all about the Lions running all over me? Kind of think I am. You look at the rushing numbers against the Chiefs last night for a team in the Jaguars that was one of the best at running the ball so far this season. Travis Etienne averaged over 6 yards a carry coming in. He had 12 carries for 49 yards last night with a long gain of 8. He and Basil Tootin combined 16 carries for 55 yards. That is less than 4 yards per carry. I think the Chiefs' run defense is fine. Most of the damage done on the ground for Jacksonville last night was Lawrence. And with respect to Jared Goff, who Mark H. points out in the YouTube comments correctly, has never lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they played twice, but still, 2-0 is 2-0. I don't think Goff is as much a threat with his legs as Trevor Lawrence is. So, am I worried about the Chiefs running the Lions running all over the Chiefs? Lions have a very good running game, very good offensive line. The Chiefs have done fairly well against the run so far this season. So I don't know that I'm necessarily worried about that. I don't think that necessarily is going to be it'll be a deciding factor, but I don't think that's the thing that has my antenna up necessarily when it comes to that matchup coming up on Sunday. JB says Dominic Chris Jones won Super Bowls. This guy we're seeing right now isn't that. Yeah, he's got to get back to it. And this is the thing. This is the thing about Jones and Butker and all of those guys. It gets to a point, you're underperforming. You've had a great career, and you get to a point where you're underperforming. And sometimes you can't get to your peak, your prime. It happens. Father Time is undefeated. But there is a point at which pride kicks in. And I think Chris Jones has a lot of pride. I don't think Chris Jones has ever been the kind of player who said, I got my big contract, I'm going to shut it down. Because he got the big contract 2 years ago, and he was awesome 2 years ago. And even though he didn't put up the same kind of sack numbers last year, he was still incredibly impactful last season for the Chiefs. I think the guy's got some pride. I don't think this is a guy who's got his money and who's got his rings and is cool in his heels. Now, he's got to prove that, I understand, to a lot of you who that clip of him dogging it in the final play of the game is going to sit with you guys for a while. And I understand that. I get that. I think he gets it too. I think that's why you can't find him on social media right now. He scrubbed the internet of his presence. Probably a smart thing to do rather than get Twitter fingers and clap back at everybody, which was the thing he used to do. But I think he's got some pride. I think if there is another level for Chris Jones still to get to, he'll get there. I do. We're going to talk some KU. Michael Swain will join us next hour. Plus, what is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk? Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 2 on this Tuesday. Again, not a Victory Tuesday, just a gloomy, rainy old Tuesday. But we're glad you're here hanging out with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. My name is Dan Lucero, and I brought friends. Everybody's here. Brendan Dworzinski and Spencer Dupuis join us for the 4 o'clock hour. Hi, guys.
Aloha.
Hello.
Hello.
Great to have you both along.
Good to be here.
It is not a Victory Tuesday, not a celebratory mood. You guys took care of the instant reaction last night on our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. Shout out to anybody who stayed up late with Brendan and Spencer. Shout out to my son for crying in his crib right as I was about to click go live.
He was just sad about the Chiefs.
Yeah, he felt the bad vibe.
He felt the bad vibes. It was a long night for Lucero household. Ash wanted a little company as he slept, and my wife and I pulled shifts. It's just one of those nights that you have with a toddler. So, but Ash was in better spirits this morning, and I got to sustain hold my bile for the 3 o'clock hour. And I don't even know if it was bile. Like, I'm not mad that the Chiefs lost that game. It just confounds me that they did. And it's frustrating because you only get but so many opportunities. Like, you follow a baseball team, they lose a stupid game. It happens. You got 161 other ones. Your basketball or your hockey team, they play a stupid game and they lose to somebody they have no business losing to. Oh, well, you got 81 others. Make it up down the road. Football, you only get 17 of these, man. And you can't be tricking off games against inferior competition. And I do believe the Jaguars are an inferior team to the Chiefs. And they can clean up the things that went wrong. They can be better in special teams. They can be, they can commit fewer penalties. Those things can all happen, but it doesn't get this game back.
Yeah, you only get so many. And look, the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. I have no doubts about that. But you'd like a home game?
You're making it really hard.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I don't think the Jags are bad.
This wasn't like losing to the Raiders on Christmas 2 years ago.
No, yeah, that was like, whoa, this is bad. The Jags, Anthony Campanile, their defensive coordinator, former Packers linebacker coach. I know he was really well thought of in Green Bay. He is on the team that I own. People forget that. I thought they were cooking up some pretty good stuff defensively, scheme-wise. The problem is their guys just aren't talented. You talked about that a lot on Friday's show, I believe it was.
Yeah, they don't have game-wrecking players. Devin Lloyd kind of wrecked the game last night. But
Lloyd's a nice player. Tyson Campbell's a nice player. Armstead's a nice player. But none of those guys, as we talked about during that show, none of those guys are players that you, build your entire game plan around. At his peak, you would Chris Jones or even a McDuffie to a certain degree. Don't throw at that guy. And I think Liam Cohen's offense, some of the stuff they were drawing up was awesome. The problem is Trevor Lawrence, if this was Madden 06, his vision cone would be a single file straight line in front of him. No idea where the ball is going. His situational awareness, brother, you've played in national championship games, college football playoff games. You've played in playoff NFL games. You were a number 1 pick. And it's are there 30 seconds left, or are there 8.5 minutes left in the second quarter? Have some awareness, bro. Which is what makes last night's game so frustrating, is the Chiefs out-jagged the Jags.
Yes, that's a perfect way to put it.
The whole time they've existed.
Yeah, it's so hard to make more mistakes than the Jaguars.
It's nearly impossible.
A buddy of mine in a group chat last night said it felt like they did 5 things to lose the game on that final drive and 2 things to win the game. And the things that won the game outdid the things that lost the game. It really, that was the whole game. The Jaguars did a lot to lose that game, but the things that they did, you roll the 99-yard pick 6 dice, that's tough. That's 14-point swing in a 3-point game, man. And that's happened to the Chiefs now twice in 2 of their 3-point losses.
I sometimes get annoyed when people, this is especially true in college football, by the neither of these teams wants to win. They're each trying to take a loss and give the other team a win. Well, I mean, defenses exist. Like, there's more to the game than just did your quarterback make X amount of throws, which is what I think that often comes down to. However, last night really did feel like the Chiefs would do something dumb, like Harrison Butker kick it out of bounds, then Trevor Lawrence like not clearly know what the situation is and like what's going on around him for half that drive. Like, it just felt like two teams that were going 100 miles an hour, like in go-karts. Like, this is extremely tenuous, everything you're trying to do.
Deeply, deeply frustrating loss. Unprecedented in some ways for the Chiefs.
I just can't get over how this dude has been in the league for 5 years and he's at his home stadium and he doesn't know where the play clock is.
Oh, they took a terrible delay a game.
And but the whole thing about it is this guy is trying to change so many plays at the line. Like, that's the whole game for the Jags.
They did.
It's like they don't know what play to call, and then they're like, wait too long to change the play, and then there's no time left.
They took the play clock down to like 1 every time, like they're like a service academy.
They don't know what play they want to run.
Texter from the 785 points out, even threw a pass beyond the line of scrimmage last night. We didn't even get to all of Trevor Lawrence's greatest hits.
But, like, he could have run for 5 yards.
Yeah.
And he was already 2 beyond it and thought, nope.
How do you, and you're on the side of the field too. It's not like you're in the middle of the field. You're right. You passed the down marker. The marker
ran right by it.
How do you not
Such
know?
a frustrating player, man.
One of my buddies that I used to work with in West Virginia, he said if you put Tyson Bagent's brain into Trevor's body, you would get Justin Herbert. Because Tyson's very smart, but just not athletically big as for a quarterback.
That's what's really
That's pretty funny.
I think last night's game is going to eat at the Chiefs. I think it's going to motivate the Chiefs. I think they've got better football still ahead of them. A lot better football still ahead of them. I think last night's game is going to eat at the Chiefs for a lot of reasons. But I think the primary emotion that they have is I can't believe we lost to those jokers.
Yes.
Like those clowns. Yeah. I cannot believe we out Jaguarsed the Jaguars. So anyway, appreciate your reaction to it in the YouTube chat, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. Still to come this hour, we got another round of What Is Wrong With You coming up, and Jayhawk Weekly with our guy Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Busy week in basketball recruiting, so we have that to talk about in addition to, KU's 4-2, and they play probably the best team in the Big 12 on the road in prime time on Saturday night.
One quick thought about KU basketball recruiting, because I know we got football to talk about here. If you know that you are, like, every year you are going to have to re-recruit your roster. Some guys are going to stay, but you've got to essentially recruit them to stay. And some guys are going to go, and there's going to be portaling and you're going to keep like 25% of your roster year over year. And this is probably me being a KU homer, which is fine. But the more I thought about it, the more that I actually appreciate the approach KU is going with this year. Bank on NBA talent. Like, if you are going to say we need to rebuild the roster regularly and we need to keep finding new guys who are going to be starters and contributors year over year, I would rather you try to fill out the roster with guys who have super high upside as opposed to a bunch of transfers who are really good college players, but like they're 22 years old and still in college for a reason. And the way KU is building, this year's roster, for example, banking on Darren Peterson being the guy, you find a bunch of transfers who are going to be very steady role players, Trey White, Jaden Dawson, etc., maybe not superstars. Next year, I think it's going to be the same thing. Talon Kinney, Trent Perry, these guys are going to be your standout stars. And then you go find some veteran guys who can be your, third, fourth option. So I actually really like this way that KU is starting to build. And it's hard not to feel good about it, considering how bad it was last year.
Right.
I'll take something very new. No problem with that.
We'll get into that with Michael Swain again coming up bottom of this hour. But I did want to talk some KU football.
Yeah.
They are 4-2, coming off of a 7-point win.
Hawks!
I was waiting for that. 4-2, 2-1 in the conference. So very much in the hunt in what, again, feels like a wide open Big 12. Like right now it feels like, and I'll ask Michael if he feels the same way, it feels like Texas Tech and the rest. And that's a credit to Texas Tech has, I think, the most impressive performance in a league game to this point, what they did to Utah at Utah with their backup quarterback.
Yeah.
That is, to this point, no other team in the conference has been more impressive for 60 minutes of football than Texas Tech was. And now, look, they've played nobody else good, but they've brutalized everybody they played. David Bailey looks like the best edge rusher in the country. Jacob Rodriguez is playing at an All-American level at linebacker. Like, they have dudes, and they might be a cut above the rest of the league. Kansas might be, to this point, the best team they played. I mean, you could argue it would still be Utah, and I listen to that argument, but there's a chance that this is the sternest test that Texas Tech will receive to this point in the season. So it'll be a fascinating one. Primetime Hawks, as you like to say, on this Saturday night. But as we evaluate this Jayhawk team, 6 games in, what to you has been better than expected that has gotten Kansas to a point where I think we went into the year, all of us kind of in agreement that, okay, yeah, this team should definitely make a bowl, and they win 7, that's a nice year. If they win 8, that's a huge success. Now, if they win 8, it would feel like that's what maybe they're supposed to do with the rest of their schedule. We've adjusted the expectations upward based on these first 6 games. What to you is the biggest reason why you felt comfortable adjusting the expectations upward, I guess, is the question.
Number one, and I already had high expectations for Jalen Daniels because I think Jalen Daniels is a really good player. Jalen Daniels has been playing like a top 10 quarterback in the country, 136 teams in FBS. Statistically speaking, in terms of efficiency, EPA per dropback, all of those things, Jalen Daniels is playing like a top 5 quarterback in the entire country this year. And I thought, I've always thought he was good. I always thought he was one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12. He's playing like one of the best in the entire nation. He is in control. He's not making the bad decisions. It's what made last year so bizarre because he has always been a good decision maker. Always. And last year he wasn't at all. And I don't know why that was the case, but he was
pressing. I think a lot of it was just pressing to make up for lost time and then make up for the losses early in the season. Yeah, and it kind of snowballed on him a little bit.
I also still believe in the conspiracy. He wasn't 100% healthy, but
I'm there.
We moved beyond the Jeff Grimes era. We are onward. That's also the big reason why. But this offense,
never just one thing.
Never. It is back to being creative. He's efficient. He doesn't need to be making all the plays for this team to move the ball. His ability to elevate the players around him. That's what great quarterbacks do. College, pro, whatever. Great quarterbacks elevate the players around him. I think that's something JD does. That has taken this offense from, I think they can be pretty good to, no, they're legit. Like, they are no doubt very good, even if there are a few things that need to be worked out. Offensive line has been okay. I would like to see a little bit more from the run game at this point. Calvin Clemens is awesome. Even if he had a couple iffy moments at the start, he's still a young kid. I think he's an NFL player. I don't know if he's a first-round pick, but I think he's got the frame to be an NFL player. Defensively, I'll give you one guy because Daniels is kind of a proxy for the whole passing game because Emmanuel Henderson's been really good. Cam Pickett had that great week 0, and has been spotty ever since, but I think he's a real nice player.
And he's back to health, I think is the biggest thing. He got dinged up at the end of that Fresno State game, and I don't think we've seen him at 100% since.
Let me also give you one other individual if you want to talk about a proxy for the passing game. Bowden Gruen has been awesome. He's been so good. He was great against UCF this weekend.
Well, and I think having him is great because you expected to have Deshaun Haneca, and unfortunately, he got hurt and he's out for the season.
Yeah,
his career's over with.
Just sucks for Deshaun. I feel terrible for him. Such a great dude. But Bowden has really stepped up. Gruen, call him by his last name, has played really, really well, way better than I would have expected when he transferred in late during the offseason. So all those pieces of the passing game, it's been better than I even thought it would be. The pieces have meshed well. That's taken the offense to another level. Defense, I'm going to give you one name because sometimes you have a player that's just so good it changes everything. Bengali Kamara is first team All Big 12 this year. And if you want a prime example of that, watch the first half of this past Saturday versus the second half. He is everywhere. He played through that injury against Missouri and played his freaking heart out, even though KU lost in that game. He's quick. He's a sideline-to-sideline guy. He's smart as hell. He's always in the right spot. That dude is I thought he'd be good. Like, you play in the SEC, you're pretty good. He's had a bunch of dudes in front of him. That guy is a game changer. Like a legitimate, we're talking about this with Chiefs Jaguars and that Jags defense. That's a legitimate, okay, where is Kamara? Well, John is all right too, but where is Bengali Kamara, and how do we make sure the ball is not near him? That's the kind of player he is.
I asked this question yesterday on the show rhetorically. When was the last time KU had a linebacker like him?
Not in recent memory. Now, KU has had some good, like, Joe Dineen was a really good college linebacker. Ben Heaney was a very good college linebacker.
Like steady, like cleanup signal caller type of guy. Who like you trust in the middle of the defense. Like they've had those guys.
Dudes who, if they played in the late 1990s, would have spent 7 years in the NFL.
Yeah,
like the game's just changed.
The cleanup crew.
But no, those guys were very steady, very solid, good college football players. Joe especially. Kamara, though, is just so athletic.
Yeah,
he's like
it's the athleticism that sets him apart.
In terms of athleticism, I think he's a more refined Craig Young. I know Craig played just a couple years ago, the transfer.
Yeah.
Ohio State transfer. Talk about a good athlete. But I think Kamara is a better overall football player than Young is. And that's no slight at Craig Young. He was a nice piece for KU. But just you take everything into account, and I think he's a more well-rounded version of that. So a player to that caliber, I could not name you one in the last 15 years who is that caliber of player.
I know that we are just less than 2 weeks removed from KU's defense giving up 603 yards to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
We should note that they're dealing with an injury crisis in their secondary right now, and I think that is a long-term concern for this team with a guy like Taylor Davis maybe being out, Mason Ellis is banged up, Saeed Gibbs is banged up. Like they're very thin in the secondary right now, and that was always going to be kind of a question mark for this defense, and it's a big part of the reason why they've had some of the struggles they've had against the better offenses they played against. But I feel better about the front seven by and large, certainly depth-wise, than I anticipate I was going to. They got a lot of guys who are making impacts, making plays.
Well,
and
I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's something Swain did talk about at the start of the year. Like, I think this defensive front can be really good. Things have to click and guys have to progress through camp the way you expect them to, but he thought they could be really good. And he's been right to this point. That's a fearsome unit up front. And not to like, wow, they kind of came out of nowhere, but like, no, that's just a really good, deep unit. They've barely had Gage Keys available even for practice, who we thought was going to be a major contributor, and they haven't missed a beat.
Yeah. Keenan Caldwell's been great.
Yeah.
Tommy Dunn's been awesome.
We noticed Caldwell week 0. You and I were both at that game, and God, he is everywhere. And yeah, Tommy Dunn's he's a monster. Great player.
As far as concern moving forward for Kansas, their final 6 games of the season, I think it starts with the secondary. Again, they got to get healthy back there. And the hope is that, the bye week that's coming up after the trip to Tech before the Sunflower Showdown will help some in that regard. They'll be able to get some guys back, be a little fresher, be a little healthier there. But they need it because they're very thin right now in those secondary spots. Devin Dye being hurt is bad. Mason Ellis was having a nice year. Taylor Davis got hurt against UCF. They've got to get some guys healthy in the secondary because that was the weakness probably of the overall team. And now they're very thin. They have to develop some depth potentially in a hurry. The other thing that has troubled me with Kansas is they have not really had the consistency in the running game that I thought they were going to this year.
Yep.
And some of that is the offensive line maybe hasn't come along. And it always takes time. You got 3 new starters up front. It's always going to take some time. But also, I think that Daniel Highshaw's injury allowing LeSean Williams to just be running back 1 may help define the running game a little bit because they're different kinds of runners. Now that you've only got one of those 2 available for the foreseeable future, you can use the concepts that are going to benefit LeSean Williams and maybe find an identity on the ground that they've struggled to find the first couple of weeks.
No, I think that's a totally fair point. I mean, LeSean Williams 2 years ago was Iowa's leading rusher. Like the guy's good. He's a really good player. And that's the thing about having a rotation. And it's why when they were both healthy, Neal and Highshaw was so dangerous a couple of years ago before the first major injury for Highshaw, because they, had an even, like, the roles were very well defined. Now Highshaw, flirts with the transfer portal, comes back, thinks he's going to be the guy. Williams is good enough to be the guy as well. You don't go to Iowa and play a lot if you're not really good at running back. So I'm not happy Highshaw is out because I think Daniel Highshaw is a really good player. But I think you're right that it gives just a little bit more clarity. And now Williams as your number 1 and Harry Stewart / Johnny Thompson as your obvious number 2, both guys who I know the program really, really like. that is a more defined role that, hey, he is the go-to guy. He is the bell cow. I do think there is value in that, even if you want to keep a stable going. I'm right there with you on the defensive side of the ball at corner specifically. I mean, safety's been banged up. Like, Lyric Rawls is a good player. That's one of those guys who can, at the very least, hold it down at safety as one guy with some help.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of hold it down guys. And
yes,
they don't have the impact players back there.
And like, look, I think Austin Alexander is going to be very good. Like, and you could see it. The pass breakup he had in the fourth quarter against UCF. Okay, there's a little tug. Oh wow, shocking! A downfield pass. There was a tug of the jersey. Boo hoo! Like, that kid's going to be a player, and I think you can see it. That being said, imagine this. It's challenging to lose two multi-time all-conference cornerbacks. Kobe Bryant was first-team All-Big 12 3 years in a row. It's hard to replace guys like that. Really, really hard. And I think this is probably more of a rebuild at corner than we gave it credit for being. Like, I think we all knew there was going to be it was going to look a lot different when you lose Dotson and Bryant, but it's just been a steeper learning curve for the defense, and you got a new coordinator and all that. Like, it's been different than we thought it was going to be, and I think that has been exposed against some of these teams that are a little more high-powered. But the spin zone on that, if you can get pressure on the quarterback, you can cover a lot for the guys on the back end. And those guys up front have been really good. Leroy Harris, you want another guy who's been a great ceiling raiser for this team? Leroy Harris has been awesome. Justice Finkley has played better, the Texas transfer, over the last couple of weeks. Dak Brinkley had some nice flashes against UCF as well. So there's a lot to like there. It feels like this team defensively is like a year away from having the potential of being really good. I think you probably have to live with flashes right now. But if your offense is playing this well, that's still enough to get you 7-8 wins.
They go to Tech. They got the bye week. They got the showdown at the booth. They're home against Oklahoma State after that. Then they go to Arizona. They are at Iowa State. And then they finish up with Utah on Black Friday. They take care of their business bare minimum at 6 wins. Can they get one of the ranked games and one of the home games? That would be 8-4. That would be a tremendous, I think, success.
Yeah, 8 wins would be phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, just glancing at this, I see 2. Like, Arizona on the road, I assume that game will be at night. That's not an easy place to play, but I'm not scared of Arizona. Oklahoma State, if you don't beat them at home, oh my God. But yeah, I mean, can you win? I don't think KU's beating Tech. I would love to see it. I'd be fired up. I don't think they're going to beat Texas Tech. You get the showdown, though. You get that Utah game. I mean, you're feeling really good. Plus, Leipold owns Matt Campbell.
Yeah, that is true.
That helps, too.
That is true. We'll take a timeout, come back with What Is Wrong With You next on 580 Sports Talk. Before we get to what is wrong with you, I forgot to give out the 4 o'clock word for the fall cash contest. So you've only got 29 minutes to enter this one. And
what is wrong with you, Dan?
Yeah, what is wrong with me? Go to 580wibw.com. 29 minutes to enter this word, 28 minutes now. To enter this word, enter to have a chance to win $2,000 today. The word of the day, or the word of the hour, is family. Family, as in I brought shame to my family by forgetting to read the 4 o'clock keyword for the fall cash contest. Go enter it at 580wibw.com. Family, Family. And thank you for to the texter from the 785 who kept me honest there. All right, what is wrong with you? Our current champion, the thief and the PO'd parishioners, guy in Kent, Washington, who stole a couple of pressure washers from a church, and the parishioners saw him do it, and they chased him down. They found him trying to sell the pressure washer to somebody in the Home Depot parking lot, and they chased the guy up to the roof of the Home Depot to basically treat him. He obviously did not get down from the roof without help from the police and fire department, who subsequently arrested him. All right, Spencer, your story first today, please.
All right, we're going to go to Spartanburg County, South Carolina.
The Sparkle City.
The former sheriff, Chuck Wright, is facing more than 60 state ethic charges after allegedly spending over $17,000 in taxpayer money on unauthorized purchases, according to newly released documents from the State Ethics Commission. The charges come in addition to the federal charges Wright is already facing. A 19-page document from the commission details how he allegedly used the county-issued credit card at more than 100 restaurants and stores for personal purchases. According to the documents, he bought 92 packs of cigarettes at Dollar General with his county-issued card. He also reportedly spent more than $1,300 in the Apple App Store on games including Huntwise, Ramp Car Jumping, and Royal Match.
Royal Match?
He saw that LeBron commercial and thought, I got to get it out.
Those are the most infuriating ads for a game in the world. They show up on your phone, and it's like, save the king from drowning into the lava. And then, like, the person pretending to play the game sucks at it, and the king always eats it, dies.
And then you go, damn, I can do better than this.
I will save you, king. Poor king. I will save you. I will download Royal Match.
Yeah, that's not the he did a lot more things than download Royal Match. He also made purchases through SiriusXM. The biggest portion of the alleged misspending went towards food, totaling more than $5,000. He reportedly spent near $900 at Fuddruckers. $900
at Fuddruckers.
$345 at Chick-fil-A and $281 at the Super King buffet.
No, not Fuddruckers.
And then he had to get something to play Huntwise, Ramp Car Jumping, and Royal Match on. So he went to Best Buy and spent $946, where he purchased an iPad, among other items. He also spent $210 for penalties for exceeding his credit limit, and $71 at CVS, where he bought an at-home drug test kit. He is scheduled for a hearing in Columbia, South Carolina in February regarding the charges.
Incredible. 92
He bought an iPad's worth of Fuddruckers.
Fuddruckers. I loved Fuddruckers as a kid, man. We had a couple of them in Aurora where I grew up. Oh, man, I loved fudge. You built your own burger.
Yeah.
Get a suicide at the pop machine after a Little League baseball game.
Closest one now, you got to go to Branson.
Fuddruckers is for the children. How are you breaking off $900 at Fuddruckers? That's so many
taking
hamburgers.
His family to Fuddruckers on the county dime.
Oh, my gosh. The sheriff.
Dude, there's one in Lubbock. Got to tell the KU folks to get down there this weekend.
Listen, I loved Fuds. Anyway, my story today, we're going to Lexington, Kentucky. We meet 40-year-old Mustafa Muhammad, who did not like the music that was playing at a skate competition at a park he lived nearby. So he took a rifle over and pointed it at all the kids because he didn't approve of the music.
Jeez,
he was arrested at his home following the incident, faces charges of first-degree wanton endangerment, third-degree fleeing or invading police, first-degree criminal mischief, and resisting arrest. This happened around 12:06 p.m. on October 4th. A large group of juveniles and parents were seen fleeing the area as the man with the rifle showed up. Officers gave him multiple verbal commands. He refused to comply and ran into his house. He then reportedly admitted to entering the park with a rifle because he did not approve of the music the group was playing. He also destroyed a speaker with a hammer. The speaker was valued at $1,500. Man, like, I love the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 soundtrack. Like, skate punk music is A-okay by me, man. You by Bad Religion? Blood Brothers by Papa Roach?
All great.
Bring the Noise by Public Enemy? Like, come on. That's what I think of when I think of skate music. I think of Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack. Anyway, the guy pled not guilty to the charges. Who wins today?
Oh, the dude who spent a rack on Fuddruckers. Yeah.
Who is spending $1,300 on in-game purchases on Apple App Store games?
That's what we call a whale.
I just think it's funny that they mentioned that he did this. He did in-store or in-app store purchases, and then he's like, well, I guess he needed something to play those games on, so he went and bought an iPad.
While he's waiting for his burger to be done at Fud's. Yeah, I think that wins. Does that beat our thief?
The thought that the former sheriff?
Yes.
The former sheriff committed 60 plus ethics violations, and they're not like beating prisoners. They're like tried to save the king at work. I'm going to go with that one to win the week.
Outrageous. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. All right. The sheriff, the Royal Match Sheriff. He's going to be
sheriff.
Moving on 580 Sports Talks. What is wrong with you? Michael Swain joins us next for Jayhawk Weekly. Of the 24/7 Sports Network. This is Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. We talk all things KU with Michael, who covers all things KU for Fog.net. Become a VIP subscriber to 24/7 Sports to get access to all of Michael's work and info. Michael, the Jayhawks go to Orlando, start slow but finish strong. I know it's never just one guy, but boy, the defensive turnaround in the second half and Bengali Kamara's return to the lineup were pretty closely intertwined. So how much of that turnaround was simply Kamara's presence in the defense in that second half?
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it. You know, if you go back and watch some of the clips from the start of the second half, like immediately, as soon as he was on the field, like he was making plays in the backfield, and just KU wasn't doing that in the first half. KU was really lacking, I think, the verticality on the defensive line, and even from the linebackers, right, to get into the backfield and keep UCF's running backs from putting their foot in the ground. And that was something that, you know, going into the game, you knew about UCF was they had explosive running backs that really were able to get their foot in the ground and go. And the biggest thing you had to do was keep them from doing that. Can you make them shuffle their feet? And KU didn't do that in the first half. Like the first half, it was just open season for those running backs. And then Bengali gets out there. He's able to get in the backfield a couple times. And all of a sudden those running backs aren't able to find those big gaps. And they've got to kind of get back and grind just for 3 yards. And so, yeah, his return, it was so important. And I think he really is the playmaker for this defense. You know, I think over time we've seen different players kind of be that for KU, whether it be, you know, Austin Booker, you know, in 2023 really comes to mind as someone that was just a total game wrecker for KU. And that's exactly what, you know, Bengali's been this year. It's been really remarkable to watch the impact he's had. And you can look at really, the season opener against Fresno State, man, like just how good he looked. And then you saw against Missouri what just having him out there meant. And so he's a guy that he can't be getting ejected. He can't be getting, little injuries that keep him out or keep him from being 100% because he's so important to the defense.
Were there meaningful steps forward taken by the offense in the second half, particularly the running game, that you think can be things that KU carries into the second half of the season?
Maybe. I think a little bit of it is just the cohesion of the offensive line continuing to get better. KU's got, 3 kind of first-year starters at KU at least. But you look at the left side of that line, Calvin Clements and Amir Herring are in their first year of starting college football games. And it's one of those deals where, just because they're redshirt sophomores who are, highly talked about, that's one thing. But then going out on the field and doing it is another. And I think as the season's gone on, you've seen the confidence for those two guys really increase. And I think you're seeing the offensive line, just play at a much better level, whether it be pass protection, run blocking. Things are looking better. Now, obviously, this week, it's going to be a much different test. But I think just the way the offensive line is playing is a huge positive, and I think you're seeing some of that really come in the second half. I think is a good example. It doesn't obviously help when, 2 of, I think, the 5 second-half drives KU had were starting inside the 1-yard line. That's a really tough spot to be in for an offense. So, hard to draw too much, I think, from the second half, but I do think if you're going to draw anything, the offensive lines continue to improve, and it's going to be one of them.
Michael Swain is our guest, covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. This is Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. It does not seem like Daniel Highshaw's return to KU's lineup is imminent. LaShawn Williams has done a fine job in Highshaw's stead, and he was the clear feature back on Saturday in Orlando. What are the kinds of things that KU can do with the players who move up on the depth chart? Guys like Johnny Thompson, guys like Harry Stewart. What are the best ways to feature those guys in the offense? Or do you think KU moves forward with a whole heavy heaping helping of LaShawn Williams at running back number 1?
Yeah, so instead of it being a kind of 1A, 1B, like it was with LaShawn and Daniel, I think it's going to get more back to that kind of number 1, number 2 hierarchy that maybe KU used with Devin Neal and Highshaw in the past, where I think Harry Stewart is going to get a couple touches, 5 to 7 touches, I think probably a game. And then what's interesting is I think you're listening to the KU coaches, talk earlier today was the fact that KU's found other ways to get carries for guys. You think about, Isaiah Marshall getting on the field, getting 2 touches, and man, he's showing why he's one of the best athletes on the team. When he touches the ball, he's got a great acceleration, great athleticism. So KU's finding other ways to get guys kind of creative touches. And I'm interested to see for someone like, Marshall, how do they build the packages around him? Because obviously they've given some looks now, but hey, is there a pass coming for Marshall when he touches the ball? Because when he's in the game, people are going to think that it's a run. So there are just some things there I think KU's trying to do to maybe get a little creative when you don't have, one of your better running backs, Highshaw, available.
How much of a concern are the injuries in the defensive backfield? I know Taylor Davis had to leave, had a boot on his foot at the end of that game against UCF in Orlando, and KU was kind of down to bare bones at some of the safety spots because Mason Ellis obviously didn't play as well. Where are they headed injury-wise at that spot, and are they going to need some guys to rise up from the depth chart and play more important roles in the second half of the season?
Yeah, they are, and man, safety's been kind of a snake-bitten position for KU over the last kind of 2 years, where you think last year it was about this time when you're looking down and Taylor Davis is playing as a redshirt freshman because, both the Dye brothers were hurt. Marvin Grant was playing a different position. Mason Ellis was hurt. And so it's just one of those where, KU's just got to rely on someone like Jalen Dye to come out and play well. And look, Jalen made a really nice play. The strip sack, super important in the way the game played out, but they're going to need to get healthy. I think getting this bye week after Tech is going to be a huge opportunity. Anytime you see someone, Devin Dye, it looked like a hamstring. Anytime you see hamstring, I think 3 weeks minimum. So, if he's able to come back, that'd be pretty remarkable for this game. And then you're just hoping, hey, can Mason Ellis get back? Can Saeed Gibbs get that big brace off his knee and be able to play and give you some reps? So it's you said it, man. It's the bare bones. So it's going to come down to depth and guys stepping up and playing well when they're given the opportunity, because they are running out of bodies. You're not too far away from maybe having to move some pieces around or relying on another redshirt freshman like a Damani Maxon maybe, to go out and play. So it's going to be a big test of the depth, and it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they put the pieces together.
Michael Swain is our guest. This is Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. Michael joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Texas Tech is up next in Lubbock on Saturday. And do you agree with the assessment that it's Tech and everybody else in the Big 12 right now?
It sure looks that way. They played really well. And granted, like it's so hard because you look at their schedule and is Houston really good? Yeah, no, they're bottom third probably, kind of that maybe 11, 12 spot in the conference. Utah's good. That's a really good win for Texas Tech. But outside of that, they've not played really good teams. And obviously it's one of those situations too where, you look at what they've done and they've just kicked everyone's butt. So it doesn't really matter who they played. They're winning these games 20 plus points. So I think they are showing that, man, the way that they have acquired talent through the portal, they've spent money, but they spent money on the right spots where it's defensive linemen, right? It's guys that have come in and can really make an impact from game one. And so they look the part. I'm interested to see how they look against a team like KU, because KU in and of itself has been very inconsistent. There have been ups and downs. And so I'm fascinated to see kind of how Tech looks against a team that is top half of the conference, let's say, like KU. So it's going to be a really interesting game. But, yeah, I think definitely like up there with Missouri for the most talented roster and the most expensive roster.
What does KU have to do to keep this game a 4-quarter game and stay in it, maybe take the crowd out of it in Lubbock a little bit, and maybe pull one of the upsets of the Big 12 season today?
Yeah, KU's got it. It's going to start defensively. KU's got to take the ball away from Baron Morton at least once. The takeaways have come at big moments for KU. It feels like this season. You talk about the strip sack, right, against, UCF. You can go back to the fumble against Missouri. Like some of the takeaways KU's had have come at big moments. They're going to need at least one on Saturday. And then I look at third down. Like, it's remarkable. Texas Tech converts on a fair few third downs, but man, they find themselves in third and long very frequently. Their average down and distance on third down is 3rd and 9. It's like one of those numbers where you double take and you're like, is that real? So they are getting themselves into some hairy situations and they're finding ways to get out of it. KU's got to win on third down. This can't be a game where Tech gets into 3rd and 11s and they're pulling out 15-yard gains. KU's got to do that. And then offensively, look, this has to be another Jalen Daniels game. Like, it's got to be a 65+% completion, 3 touchdowns, no interception. It's got to be that type of game for KU offensively, where it's going to come down to Jalen and what he can do. And obviously, I think the offensive line is going to be tested because, like I said, this defensive front for Texas Tech is going to be up there with Missouri for the most talented. So, look, KU can win this game. KU can be in this game in the fourth quarter, but they've got to really, I think, cover up some of the consistent issues they've had, especially defensively, and it comes down to 3rd and 4th down because Joey McGuire is, it's in the most loving way possible. He's a madman. He's not afraid to go for it on 4th and long. Like, KU's got to keep them out of those 4th and 2, 4th and 3, and make them 4th and 11s where there really isn't much of a choice.
Pivoting to basketball with Michael Swain of Fog.net on this edition of Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. Bill Self putting in work on the recruiting trail. 2 more commitments to the Jayhawks since the last time we spoke. The most recent one over the weekend, Davion Adkins, 6'9" with a 7'2" wingspan, the 4-star big man announcing his commitment to KU. What kind of a player, what kind of a fit are the Jayhawks getting with Adkins?
Yeah, he's a little bit I would say take Flory and think about what his skill set is. I would say take a notch off the athleticism and add a notch on the skill department. Like, I think Davion Adkins is going to arrive on campus as kind of someone that fits that Flory mold, right? Rim protector, long, great defensive instincts, good athlete. But he's going to have a little bit more touch around the rim, a little bit more of a skill post skill set, I should say. Not going to be someone that's going to go out and be Hunter Dickinson in the post, but I think he's got a little bit more moves on to his game than maybe Flory has. I think he's a really good player. And look, he's someone that Bill Self, I think, latched onto over the summer and decided that this was the guy he wanted. And, Self's got a really good history of recruiting these big men. And I think Adkins certainly fits the bill of what I think KU is leaning into now, where I think they tried the Hunter Dickinson, a little bit of David McCormick, where, maybe not the best athlete, but maybe a little bit more, can give you something in the post. I think Self's kind of leaning into this tall, long, can block shots, vertical threat around the rim, really leaning into that skill set, and that's exactly what Davian Atkins is going to bring.
The commitment of Adkins means he joins Trent Perry and Talon Kinney in the class of 2026. KU also already has a commitment from a 5-star for class of 2027, Javon Bardwell. Is this representative of a renewed commitment to recruiting the high school ranks, or is this just a renewed level of success at recruiting the high school ranks? Kansas doing a better job, maybe, and we can say these things out loud in the NIL era, meeting the needs of some of these top prospects?
Yeah, well, look, KU met the needs of the top prospect last year to the name of Darren Peterson. And as we've covered, Darren, not cheap. I do not think any one of these players is in Darren Peterson territory. I think you're talking a third, maybe a half of what Darren got. So there are more resources to go in and fill that quote-unquote salary slot that Darren is going to leave after this year. And you get two guys in maybe Adkins and Kinney who combined will fit that slot. So that's one way to think about it. I think you can also look at someone, like Tony Bland and what he's brought. He's the reason Bardwell commits. Bland has been recruiting Bardwell for a long time, back to his Washington days. You can look at, Jacques Vaughn is not super active in recruiting, right? He is not calling these guys, I don't think, and busting down the door. But, man, you get him on a visit and you sit him down in the film room with Jacques Vaughn, and that can sway a kid. And so I think you put some of these things together, and it really creates a situation where KU's being able to have success. And look, having all this happen in the span of a week gives the perception that, oh, man, things have gone crazy, where in the past, this is something that happens where, hey, maybe a Kinney, commits in, mid-September, let's say, and then Atkins commits in mid-October, and then they get a kid before signing day in Bardwell. Like, it contributes to the perception that all these kids decided to make their decisions within kind of a week of each other. I don't think that's necessarily something that KU's saying, hey, let's get you to commit, and then you to commit, and then you to commit all at the same time. I think that's just more of a coincidence more than anything.
Michael Swain covers the Kansas Jayhawks football, basketball at fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. If you are a VIP subscriber, you get all of the access to Michael's outstanding coverage. If you aren't a VIP subscriber, you should strongly consider it. Michael joins us every Tuesday at this time for Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. Michael, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds great. Talk to you next week.
That is Michael Swain. We'll take a timeout, come back, and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. 456 on 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, for joining us for Jayhawk Weekly. We have one more hour together. Some final thoughts on the Chiefs' loss to the Jaguars last night. We'll double back and revisit that game. We've also got some headlines to get to, including a playoff roundup. And the only NHL preview you need, because it's coming from two actively partisan hockey fans. That's coming up in headlines as well, because the season is starting tonight, has started.
I was going to say, it's already started right now.
The game's on.
Yeah.
In here, in the studio. They are playing an honest-to-God regular season NHL hockey game right now, right this second, on October 7th. So, in case you weren't ready for that. Lots more football, too, in the final hour. So stay with us here on 580 WIBW for one more hour of 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Third and final hour on 580 Sports Talk for this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our streaming video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Go subscribe to that YouTube channel if you have not already. And on Facebook at WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuy with you for one more hour today here on 580 Sports Talk. Want to hear from you in the chat on the YouTube stream. There's a live chat on our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel that you can interact with throughout the live show. Chat with your fellow listeners and your hosts as the show goes along. Again, that's over on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the show, 785-272-9429 is that number, 785-272-9429. If you're just joining the show, still needing to vent a little spleen after that Chiefs loss to the Jaguars on Monday Night Football last night, we still got more to say about that here in the final hour of the program. So we want to hear from you if you've got some final thoughts on that loss that drops the Chiefs to 2-3 on the season. Again, 785-272-9429 on the text line. I'm going to be better this hour at giving the fall cash keyword. I'm going to remember this time right off rip. All right. 580WIBW.com is the website. You click the contest link at the top of the page. We are giving away $2,000 a day every weekday this week and next. And for you to register for your chance to go win, you got to have the keyword. It's a different keyword every hour. So this is the final keyword of the day. It's good until 6 o'clock. And the keyword is party. Party. P-A-R-T-Y. Everybody come on by to my P-A-R-T-Y.
Look, you can throw a huge party if you win all that money.
$2,000? Give a decent party for $2,000.
I mean, you can throw a good party. You can get a lot of stuff for $2,000. Well, not as much as in years before, but you can throw a good party.
What was
I threw good parties in college for a lot less.
I do wonder. Yeah, college parties don't cost too much.
$45.
You know, you get a couple of 30 racks of crappy beer,
and like you buy
like a party sub, a couple of big pizzas,
or you buy a $20 thing of a handle of vodka, crappy vodka,
a handle of terrible, basically
Vladimir's or something.
Kamchatka was the cheap vodka of choice at DePauw University from 2004 to 2008. I can only attest to those
and
years.
Then you get some Kool-Aid packets.
Oh God, nah, man, that's vile stuff. Honest to God, though, you miss some of that cheap vodka with like the green or the blue Gatorade. Not half bad. Or you just tell people it's BYOA, and like our texter from the 785 here suggests. You know, you just
save more money.
Yeah, and you put more of that $2,000, or maybe you hire a DJ.
Yeah, you might hire a DJ.
Hire a DJ for a couple hours. Yeah, get one of the. Do you go party sub, or do you go just a couple of large like pepperonis?
Probably a couple large pepperonis.
Yeah, party sub. I do love a party sub. Man, it's been a long time since I've had like a sub sandwich. Like I haven't been to like Subway or Jersey Mike's.
I love me some Jersey Mike's. I had one a couple weeks ago. I hadn't had Jersey Mike's, and then our coworker Greg Akagi gets it on much occasions.
Okay, Greg's a Jersey Mike's guy,
and I see his bag. Because they give you the little like cardboard bag. I gotta get me some Jersey Mike's. And then like 3 days later, I'm getting me some Jersey Mike's.
Hey, I like Jersey Mike's a lot. I'll tell you, I like the Jersey Shore favorite, and I like the Chipotle cheesesteak. The cheesesteak, low key, really good.
Yes, I'm a big Italian from there.
But listen, I'm not too good for a sub from anywhere. Like I'll go get an Italian from Subway. I'll go get an Italian from Mr. Good Sense.
I've never had Mr.
I'll get a. You should try Good Sense. It's a little more local to us here. They got them in Nebraska. I remember seeing one in like Omaha or Lincoln. So it's more of a Midwestern thing, but they didn't have them in Colorado when I was growing up. Like I don't discriminate at all. I love a Vito or from what's it called? Jimmy John's.
Jimmy
I
John's.
like a
Freaky fast delivery.
Yeah, I like the Club Royale at Jason's Deli. I love a good. That's not a sub, but you get the idea. Like I just like lunch meat sandwiches.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since I've had like you buy the turkey, you take it home, and we were talking about making turkey sandwiches like last week on the show. I've been doing that a little bit at home, little turkey, little cheese, little mayo, little mustard, but like nothing compares to getting one of those big Dagwood ass party sub type sandwiches with the tomatoes and the lettuce and the onion and the oil and vinegar and just really sauce it up. I love it. I love a good. You call them subs? Is that the East Coast nomenclature? Okay.
It's like, I think, a little north. If you go a little north on the east, they use different terms.
They call it a hero or a hoagie, maybe a grinder.
I think a hoagie is a Jersey kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't really know. Like, I have a pretty good handle on like the soda and pop dividing line. That's how one of the ways I could tell I've lived in the Midwest for too long in my life is now I've started calling it pop. I never did that as a kid. It was always soda, or I'll go get a Coke. But I guess it's pop now to me because I've been in the Midwest too long. But yeah, I don't have a good feel for the regionalization of what you call like the long sandwich. It was always a sub sandwich to me. Anyhow, you can clear that up if you'd like on the text line if anybody has any insight on that. Again, the text line contains multitude 785-272-9429. More Chiefs on the way, but first, let's get to some headlines. Let's start with a couple of NFL trades today. Joe Flacco is on the move to the Cincinnati Bengals. He was acquired today in a trade with the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals acquiring Joe Flacco and a 6th-round pick in exchange for a 5th-round pick. Flacco had appeared in 4 games, started the first 4 games of this season for the Browns and completed 58% of his passes for 815 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He is 40 years old. He cannot move. Cincinnati's offensive line is maybe the worst in the NFL. I understand the Bengals are desperate. I understand the Bengals spent a lot of money this offseason to keep Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for the long haul and keep Trey Hendrickson around for one more year. They've got a lot invested in being a playoff team this year, and it's getting away from them because Jake Browning stinks. I understand all that. I understand feeling like, hey, this is desperation mode. We don't know when or if we're going to get Joe Burrow back, and if we do, it may not even matter. It may be too late in the season to matter. We got to go find a solution that's better than what we got on hand. I just don't know how those breadcrumbs lead you to Joe Flacco. Like, Jameis Winston's right there, man. He's just sitting there, chilling. Quarterback number 3 in New York. Did you make that phone call?
I mean, Russ, too.
Yeah, seriously. They could have called on Russ. You win games with Russ.
And he's more mobile.
He is.
Than Joe Flacco.
You need somebody, if you're playing behind that Cincinnati offensive line, you need somebody who can move a little bit.
Well, especially because you know who they play this weekend?
I do not.
Micah Parsons and the Packers.
Oh, no. Hey.
Although Joe Flacco did beat him once this year.
He's already beaten the Packers.
But still, I mean, you have to run behind that offensive line.
Text from the 785 regarding putting Flacco behind that offensive line. Isn't that elder abuse? Great line. Another text from 785. Good news for Shadur Sanders fans. He's now quarterback 2 by default in Cleveland. That is true. That is true. He is QB2. The 2 sweetest words in the English language. Homer Simpson once said, default. Default. That is how he got there. Dylan Gabriel, obviously, he's the guy. Have you heard what they're calling him in Cleveland?
No.
Some of the fans. So he's not particularly tall.
Yes.
And he is from our 50th state. From Hawaii.
From Hawaii, yeah.
They're calling him Hawaii 5'9".
All right then. All right then.
That's pretty funny. I thought that was funny. Anyway, so that is one trade that was made today in the NFL. Again, Joe Flacco going from the Browns to the Bengals, where presumably he'll start or at least get an opportunity to play in place of the ineffective Jake Browning, who's in there because of the injury to Joe Burrow. If he does suit up, he will be the first player in history to play for the Bengals, Ravens, and Browns. It's never happened.
That's funny.
Also,
Now he just
today,
needs to go play for the Steelers next year.
Yeah, because there are only two players in NFL history who've played for all four teams in the same division. One of them's a kicker. Who have played for every team in a division while they were an active player. You'll remember him because one of them was the Washingtons. Kicker Jose Cortez played for all four teams in the NFC. Yeah. So there was also a trade between the Ravens and the Chargers today, a player-for-player trade. Fascinating stuff. Odafe Owe goes from Baltimore to the Chargers along with a 7th-round pick in 2027 in exchange for safety Alohi Gilman and a 5th-round pick in 2026. 26-year-old Owe had 10 sacks last year. He has as many sacks this season as you and me combined, Spencer, which is not what you want. Ravens also free up around $8 million in cap space by trading Owe.
I know they don't make the trades, but did the brothers call each other?
Who's that?
The Harbaughs.
The Harbaughs? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I'm sure they had some intel that they trade here. So the Chargers needed some pass rush help. They're obviously missing Khalil Mack. He's on IR. He's eligible to return in week 7. No word on whether he'll make it back by week 7. But other than Tuli Tuipulotu, they've got no pass rush juice right now, and they're hoping that Owe can give them some. Meanwhile, the Chargers felt like they were trading from strength. Gilman, I thought, was really good last year. This year, he has decidedly not been good. Jim Harbaugh seems to like Tony Jefferson more, so Jefferson's going to start at that safety spot, the deep safety role for the Charger defense, and they'll plug Owe into their pass rush. Meanwhile, the Ravens are dying for safeties. They signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson today as well. We talked about this when the Texans cut C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The thing about C.J. Gardner-Johnson is he is a very talented player, but you have to be willing to put up with him.
Yeah.
Because he is not an easy guy to have in your locker room. And the Ravens are that desperate. They are 31st in the league in pass defense. They are 32nd in the league in scoring defense. And they drafted a dude I never heard of with a fake name, Ruben Lowry. Come on. That is a computer-generated Madden AI name that they started at safety with Kyle Hamilton hurt this past week. So they bring in Gilman, they bring in C.J. Gardner-Johnson trying to address that weakness. It's a fascinating trade. You don't see a ton of player-for-player, like, this guy's not helping me, but maybe he can help you sort of trade. And I don't think it's a coincidence that would happen between two teams that are coached by brothers. So that is the other trade from the NFL today. Spencer, give me a headline.
Yes. Kind of funny headline because clearly Jerry Jones lied about this, but over the weekend it was at MetLife, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they were at MetLife as the Cowboys took on the Jets and pretty much bowled down the Jets. But Jerry Jones in his owner's box, or the visiting owner's box, I believe it was caught on video, he flipped off fans.
Shot him the bird.
So he got fined by the NFL, and his comments were, I was really trying to give them a thumbs up. I don't know how doing this to this. What are you trying to give him a thumb side?
Yeah, I don't know how you intend to give somebody a thumbs up and it turns out to be something else.
Yeah.
His quote on his weekly radio hit that he does with 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, quote, "That was unfortunate. That was kind of an exchange with our fans out in front of us. The gesture was inadvertent on my part because that was right after we made our last touchdown and we were all excited about it. There wasn't any antagonistic issue or anything like that. I just put up the wrong show on the hand. That was inadvertently done. I'm not kidding. If you want to call it accidental, you can call it accidental, but it got straightened around pretty quick. The intention was thumbs up and basically pointing at our fans because everybody was jumping up and down excited." If my 88-year-old parent shot like a crowd of people the middle finger and said, well, actually, I was trying to give him a thumbs up, I'd be like, all right, let's get you home.
Yeah, like
it's another take the keys moment for Jerry Jones. That is
just own
sure.
up to it, dude. Just say, hey, it was a mistake. I got their words got the best of me, and I fed into it. Like, it's not that hard to admit something like that.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
what you?
No, I was trying to give a thumbs up to our fan. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you were, bud. I'm sure. Yeah, that very likely story. Next headline. The NHL season is underway right now. They are playing a game in wherever the Panthers arena is. It's not Miami anymore. Sunrise, I think.
Sunrise.
Yeah,
yes.
Sunrise, Florida. It is a tied score early in the second period. Chicago and Florida are deadlocked at 2 apiece. The two-time defending Stanley Cup champions opening their season with a game against the Blackhawks, who stink and are butt.
Have been for a while.
So, yeah, there's a hockey game happening right now. The season is starting. That snuck up on me completely, but the NHL moving their season opener ahead because they are taking virtually the entire month of February off so that their players can participate in the 2026 Winter Olympics. So, with that, and still needing to fit all 82 games into the schedule, season gets going a little earlier, and by a little earlier, I mean today. It's an NHL triple header on ESPN if you're so inclined to check it out. The Rangers host the Penguins, and the late game tonight, the Los Angeles Kings welcome in the Colorado Avalanche. For the 30th consecutive year, I will be predicting that the Colorado Avalanche win the Stanley Cup. It's obviously not a crazy thing to do. It wasn't that long ago that they won one after all. They still have some extremely good players on the team, and hopefully they won't play the Stars in the playoffs because that's the one team they can't beat. As long as they don't have to see the Stars, I think they can win the Cup. How are you feeling, Spencer, about the Washington Capitals prospects in 2026?
Well, first off, I guess the NHL has handpicked, let me see, in their TV partners, TNT, ESPN, have handpicked a selection of 7 games to split over Tuesday and Wednesday. And then, like, the rest of the league, it appears, gets going on Thursday. There's just so many games on Thursday, it's not even funny. If you look at the schedule, I just wanted to point that out there that it was done early.
Not the opener for everybody.
Yeah, not the opener for everybody today. But the Capitals, I'm pretty high on them this year. I think because last year I wasn't as high and they outperformed my expectations. I don't think Ovechkin's going to go on that legendary run he had, but I do think this might be his last year. And I am happy because there were some guys that I thought should make this roster because they've, from minor leagues or from the AHL team. I'm like, oh yeah, it's their turn. They didn't make it, and they're really good, and they're like top prospects and everything. So I'm pretty happy with this roster because not a lot left. You got Ryan Leonard, the guy they called up at the end of last year. I think he's ready. He could be the Calder champion this year. He could be Calder award winner. He could be the rookie of the year. Yeah. So I'm excited. They take on Boston tomorrow, 6:30 on the TNT. So I'll be watching that.
Boston is stinky now. That's going to take me a little bit to get used to. They were stinky last year, which was very strange.
Well, they traded away their guy to Florida.
Yeah. Marchand. Yeah. Brad Marchand.
You know, when that signaled to me, we're going to blow it up.
Yeah. That's probably about where they're at. For those who are casual hockey fans and want to be in the know, here's how you can sound smart. The Panthers have won the last 2 Stanley Cups. Nobody likes them. They're not fun to watch. They're a very physical team. They play heavy hockey, they like to say. Really translates well to the postseason. They lost one of their best players, Alexander Barkov, for the entire season with a preseason injury. They might be a little bit vulnerable. Also, it's a salary cap league, so you bleed talent at the end of every year anyway.
But
they still got a bunch of really good players.
Yeah.
They got the one of the Kachucks and Sam Reinhart. Like, they're Sergei Bobrovsky in that. They're still probably the favorites out east. Other good teams in the Eastern Conference include Spencer's Capitals, along with the Carolina Hurricanes will be good again. The most fundamentally sound team in hockey, they like to say. The New Jersey Devils will probably be quite good again. Most of the power, though, this year seems to be in the Western Conference. Defending champions of the Western Conference are the Edmonton Oilers. They have the best player alive in Connor McDavid, who just signed an extremely team-friendly contract extension for the next 2 years. The Oilers will be quite good. The Vegas Golden Knights added Mitch Marner to their roster. They will be quite good. The Avalanche, as I mentioned, not just saying that because I'm a fan, They will be quite good. Winnipeg will be tough. Dallas, always tough, super talented, but they fired their coach. I don't know why they did that. Gives me a lot of hope that maybe the Avalanche can beat them in a 7-game series for a change. Should be a fascinating year on Frozen Pond. Again, there'll be a big break in February, so the best of the best represent their countries in the Winter Olympics. I think the Avalanche will beat the, going to throw a dart, New Jersey Devils in the Stanley Cup Finals. What's your prediction?
I think the Washington Capitals are going to beat the... I'll go Avalanche. We'll have a 580
Sports Talk Bowl.
Stanley Cup Bowl.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
I do think they're really good. Like,
I'm hopeful. They have real goaltending to start the season, which they did not have last year and cost them home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs. So they start the year with like 2 good goaltenders instead of 0. That will help. Gabe Landeskog's back. The captain missed the last 3 regular seasons.
Is he the guy that played in the playoffs?
And came back in the playoffs and was their best player in that playoff series. Missed was it 3? No, it was 2 seasons. No, it was 3. It was 3 full regular seasons that he missed after they won the cup in 2022 with he had like cartilage replacement surgery in his knee. It was a really wild operation. It's very, very hard to come back from, but he made it back. And you miss your captain, you miss your leader when he's not out there. So having him back is a big deal.
I'm glad the Capitals finally got some goaltending in their minor league or their AHL affiliate, because if one guy goes down last year, they had horrific, horrible
horrific. I think you were going for. Yeah,
goaltending from the guy. Like they had him playing in the preseason, and the Caps won. They won all but one preseason game. They were scoring left and right, and they weren't giving up goals. And I was like, all right, I can do this. So I'm excited.
Let's do a playoff roundup to wind down headlines, shall we?
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
Last night, a thrilling 9th inning in Philadelphia. The Los Angeles Dodgers' leaky bullpen very nearly blew a 4-1 lead. But they were able to hold on for a 4-3 win, or 5-4, 4-3. Well, 1-run win, 4-3 final score.
Yeah, 4-3.
Philly scored 2 in the 9th, had the tying run at second with nobody out. Chose to bunt him to third. Let this be a lesson: never bunt, because the guy got thrown out going second to third. Perfectly executed wheel play by the Dodgers. That's good old-fashioned bunt defense right there. Love to see that.
Also,
Dodgers pitched their way off the ropes. I know I hate to do this because he's a local guy. Blake Trinan's pride of Osage City. They got to get him off the postseason roster, man. He hasn't gotten anybody out for a month. Like, I don't care because it's the Dodgers. If they lost, I would laugh because it's funny to me when the Dodgers lose. But like when I got that game turned on. I second screened it. I got that game turned on for the bottom of the 8th. I saw Shohei bat against Yohan Duran, the stud closer for the Phillies. And Duran struck him out and pitched out of a jam. It was a 3-run game going to the 9th. And they brought Blake Trinan in. And I said, uh-oh, this is going to be a problem for the Dodgers. And it was. He didn't get anybody out. And I don't think he's gotten anybody out since September, mid-September. So that's the problem for the Dodgers. But no problem in that series. They're up 2-0 with the series going to Los Angeles. Also up 2-0, the Milwaukee Brewers, who defeated the Chicago Cubs 7-3 last night. Early 3-run homer by Andrew Vaughn. Also homering for the Brewers last night, William Contreras and Jackson Chourio. Chourio's was a 3-run homer that put the distance between the Brewers and the Cubs. Jacob Mizorowski, 3 shutout innings of relief, hit 104 with his fastball last night. Brewers with a 2-0 lead. That series moves to Wrigley Field for Game 3. Seattle and Detroit are supposed to be playing. It's a pivotal Game 3 because the series is tied at 1, you see. But it's raining in Detroit. The weather is not cooperating. That game has not started yet. There is no word on when it will start. Yes. Oh, is there now?
First pitch for Game 3 between the Mariners and Tigers is expected at Well, I guess it'd be 30 minutes from right now, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
It will air on Fox Sports 2 and MLB Network.
Yeah, because they've got to air the Toronto-New York game. So, if you want to
they'll
watch...
have the first hour on FS1 as well, but FS2 will have the whole game along with MLB Network.
So, we will finally see baseball in Detroit here in about the next half hour. And then the late game tonight, Yankees and Blue Jays. Yankees at home trying to stave off elimination. Toronto has bashed their way to a 2-0 series lead in that best of 5. That's your playoff roundup. When we come back, did you leave last night's game thinking the Jaguars were good? Because, I don't think they're bad, but part of the frustration of last night's Chiefs loss was I think they pretty clearly lost to an inferior team. We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. All right, 34 on 580 Sports Talk, halfway through this final hour of the program. Jaguars beat the Chiefs last night, and look, I don't think that the Jaguars are a bad team. I don't think they're going to go, 4-13. I don't think that it was a total accident that the Jaguars won last night. They seem to be a very mistake-prone football team. But if you make fewer mistakes than your opponent, typically, you win. It's why, going into last night, the Chiefs had won, I think Matt Verderame said it was 38 games in a row in which they'd won the turnover battle. 38 in a row. 38-0 in their last 38 before last night when the Chiefs win the turnover battle.
Jeez.
They won the turnover battle last night. They had the fumble forced at the goal line, which was a great play by Nick Bolton. That's going to get lost. It's going to be forgotten because they end up losing the game. But that was an awesome play by Nick Bolton to force that fumble. And they had the interception by Trent McDuffie. Everybody yelling that should have been pass interference. Like, that was the most obvious pass interference ever.
No.
I felt like those two guys just kind of ran into each other. Like, I felt like they were not looking for each other and just kind of ran into each other. I felt incidental to me. It didn't feel like that was, whoever the defensive back, I think it was Hicks. Like,
yeah.
They were acting like, he set a pick on the wide receiver. No, man, I think he was going into the flat. It was a match coverage, and he literally just ran into the receiver, and Lawrence threw the timing route, and the receiver had fallen down. He threw it right to Trent McDuffie. Like, stuff happens in football. Like, I didn't think that was this like blatant pass interference that everybody was complaining about. But what do I know? Anyway, yeah, Chiefs won the turnover battle last night. Here's the difference. The Chiefs turnover, the one, didn't just put 7 on the board for the Jags. It took 7 off the board for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not just about making fewer mistakes. It's about making the other team's mistakes hurt more. And that is kind of what has happened in 2 of the Chiefs' losses so far this season, is that their mistakes have been maximally impactful. Travis Kelce drops that touchdown at the goal line. It goes right to Andrew Makuba, the Eagles. He returns it 40-odd yards. That's not maybe directly a 14-point swing, but the short field the Eagles used to drive and score and take a 10-point lead when the Chiefs were about to take the lead. And then last night, the Chiefs were about to take the lead, and like I said, and Mahomes had a really great answer to this, walked through the whole play, talked about the pre-snap look he saw, what he expected, why he expected that to be the look based on what he had seen in film study, and what the Jaguars did differently. To make it simple, they dropped out of a blitz look. And that's the game, right? You show something and you disguise it as something else. And sometimes that's how, as a defense, you win. That is throwing paper when the other team throws rock. Or if you'd rather, throwing rock when the other team throws scissors. Whatever analogy, whatever rock, paper, scissors analogy you prefer, they got out-schemed on that play. Full credit to Jacksonville for doing that. It's a great play. It's a great play by Devin Lloyd. It's a tremendous effort. I still think Tyquan Thornton probably should have gone for the shoelaces instead of trying to strip the ball, maybe make him run a play or two to try and score that touchdown. But end of the day, the return was a great play. And it was a great interception. And it was a 14-point swing right there. That was a 14-point swing in a 3-point game. So you can argue nothing else. I mean, everything else kind of even out, everything else being equal. Chiefs were better except for one play.
Can I make an assertion about
you may.
The lack of people trying to, or Patrick trying to tackle? He did this last year. He tackled somebody and he hurt Rashee Rice. He ended his season. So I think he probably maybe lesson learned that he's not going to go as hard.
Barrel rolling into, like he's trying to get his legs and Lloyd ran through him. Like, that's how I want my quarterback to try and tackle, frankly.
Not how he did last
especially because that was like 10 yards down the field. I don't think he thought that nobody was going to catch him.
Yeah.
Like that. I didn't have a
there
problem.
There were people online freaking out that weren't Chiefs fans who are like, why is your quarterback trying to tackle it? No, look, he did last year. He friendly fire and unfortunately ended Rashee Rice's season.
Yeah. I do wonder if maybe that was on his mind a little bit. But you look at the drives for the Chiefs last night, like the team that was best at stopping the Chiefs, because I was pretty adamant. I think we all were yesterday. Like, I didn't think the Chiefs would lose if they did not have a game where they turned it over a bunch. And they turned it over one time and they lost. They won the turnover battle and they lost. So who stopped the Chiefs last night? Because they had a success rate of over 60%. Mahomes was awesome, bar the interception. Opening drive of the game, they punt. They lost a first down on the drive on an illegal formation. They lined up incorrectly. Details, sloppy. Lose a first down. Should have gone for it on 4th and 2 from the Jacksonville 46. That should be automatic when you have Patrick Mahomes. And for a lot of years it has been, but that's not like really what Andy Reid likes to do. And he reverted back to some caveman Andy thoughts about 4th down. He punted on the opening Chiefs possession. I hated that. Hated it then. I hate it even more now. But who stopped the Chiefs on that drive? It was the Chiefs. Then they scored touchdowns on their next 2 drives. They went 3 and out before the half. They lost 6 yards on the first down play. They tried to run a jet sweep to Xavier Worthy. Josh Hines-Allen made a great play. And it's hard to get a first down from 2nd and 16. Opening drive of the second half, this was really a killer. They went 3 and out. They threw like a wheel route to Hollywood Brown, 1-on-1 on 3rd and 2. I hated the play call. Really, really hated the play call. Then they walked it down the field before Mahomes threw that interception. They punted on the drive after that. They set up a 2nd and 24 because Kingsley Sumatai had a first down hold, and then they committed a delay of game, which I thought was fine, honestly, in that situation. 2nd and 19, 2nd and 24, you're probably not converting anyway. And when you're trailing in the fourth quarter, I think maybe the timeout is probably more valuable to you at that point than the 5 yards. So I didn't mind them not burning a timeout to rescue the delay of game. The hold was the killer penalty on that drive. Then they scored touchdown. Then the final drive of the game, they really had no shot. But you look at the 9 possessions before that final drive. They scored 4 touchdowns. They got to the brink before they threw a pick. They punted when they should not have punted because of a penalty. They punted when they had to punt because of a penalty. The Chiefs were really their own worst enemy on offense. I did not leave last night thinking, oh, man, this Jaguars defense, this is really one of the elite units in the NFL. No, they made it. Devin Lloyd made a great play, and that was about it. They didn't really have a whole lot else schematically for the Chiefs.
And Brendan and I were talking about this last night on the instant reaction. They were talking about him during the game, Lloyd. He was basically overlooked this offseason. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option.
Uh-huh.
Dude is killing it this year. He's going to make so much money next year.
Yeah, it's him and Nick Bonito who are your front runners for Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. Denver's Nick Bonito. He made a great play, and it was the only play really that they made all night. The Jaguar defense made all night, but they didn't sack Mahomes. Chiefs ran the ball effectively, had some big splash plays on the ground that weren't Mahomes scrambles, which is something that this offense has really struggled for.
29-yard run from why am I blanking on his name?
Kareem Hunt.
Yes, Kareem Hunt.
His run was 33
yards.
Yeah, he had a 33-yard run. Pacheco had one that was close to 20 yards too. Those
bursts really helped during the game.
I did not leave last night thinking, oh, that is suddenly an elite defense, or did not leave last night thinking, well, Trevor Lawrence is the truth. Trevor Lawrence played a good game. Trevor Lawrence also threw a bad pick, should have thrown 2, and fumbled at the goal line. He's still a mistake-prone quarterback. There is a ceiling on him that is not the ceiling that we thought it was going to be when he came into the league. And that is still my perception of the Jaguars. And that makes last night all the more frustrating to know that that is an inferior football team. That is a team the Chiefs should beat. That is a team, that is a game you play it 10 times. I think the Chiefs win 7, if not 8. And they didn't win last night. That's the way it goes. And I don't know. Obviously, there's more to it in the locker room. There's more to it in the coach's room than it be like that sometimes. But sometimes it really do just kind of be like that. That the one mistake you make, the Chiefs did not play perfect football outside of the interception. But that was the big mistake, and it was incredibly penal because they lost 7 and gave up 7 on the 14-point swing in a 3-point game. And that's how you lose. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Some final thoughts on that Chief loss coming up next. Do a random question Tuesday here in just a second for the sake of ending the program with a little bit of levity and this not victory Tuesday. My final thought on the Chiefs is this. You got to put your best players on the field. You got to put your best players in the best position to help you. I don't think the Chiefs defense is doing that right now in the secondary. Shamari Connor, I think, probably is taking a few too many bullets for that pass interference penalty end zone. Bad play, but I don't think that's a situation where he should have been guarding Brian Thomas in the slot on the most important snap of the game. Noel Williams, who has been playing terrific football for the Chiefs, only played 4 defensive snaps last night. I don't know how you could have watched the last couple of games and felt like he only needed to play 4 snaps, especially, look, if I'm playing a team like the Jaguars, all their receivers are little. Like they have fast little guys. Like not like little, but like Brian Thomas, not big, not imposing. Travis Hunter is not big. I want a physical press corner on the field. I want somebody who's going to go bully those guys. Noel Williams will bully those guys. And Williams being on the field with Jalen Watson gives you a chance to play Trent McDuffie in the slot. Yesterday was the fewest snaps all season that McDuffie had played in the slot. McDuffie had played at least 10 slot snaps every single game this season. Before last night, he only played 4 slot snaps. All the rest of them went to Shamari Connor. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this was probably the worst defensive performance of the year for the Chiefs. And I say that knowing full well, they forced 2 turnovers. You know, one of the touchdowns they gave up was on a short field, the winning one. Like, wasn't like they were, and they only really gave up 24 points. Like, it's not like they were god-awful, but it was, I thought, their worst performance of the season. And a big part of that was Trent McDuffie's not playing where he's best, and Noel Williams didn't play at all. Final thought on the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think that obviously when you look back at this game, it's going to be a couple of plays here and there that changed it, but also it's an Andy Reid coach team. They need to be more disciplined. Yeah, there might have been a couple tic-tac calls, but still double-digit penalties not allowed when you're, especially an Andy Reid coach team.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, unacceptable.
So, yeah, something that they're going to have to clean up. It was a very frustrated locker room, but not like the kind of frustrated where they start pointing fingers. The only finger point that was being done in that locker room last night was at themselves, and at one person pointing it at the man in the mirror, and that's the way forward. That's why teams are championship teams, is because that's the only finger pointing they do is squarely at the man in the mirror. Random question Tuesday. I had one, and it's kind of slipped the back of my mind here, so I'm gonna try and think about it.
I got one.
Go ahead and ask yours.
All right. While watching Monday Night Football last night, I think they talked about it, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on the broadcast last night. But obviously you have Travis Hunter, a great 2-way player, won the Heisman, did all the stuff that he did at Colorado. If you were Liam Cohn, where would you emphasize? Like, he wants to play both sides, I get it. But where would you emphasize to him to, hey, we want to get you more snaps this side of the ball? Which side of the ball would it be? Because I clearly know mine.
I think it's offense.
Yes.
You saw he only made 2 catches last night, but
they were huge catches.
Yes, you saw what he could do in the open field, and you saw that he can go. Like, honestly, that catch he made on the deep ball, that 44-yard play, that was the big play, a big chunk play on a touchdown drive. You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of a young Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
That reminded me of, because Tyreek was never, I mean, he was always the fastest guy, but he was never the biggest guy. He was never the most physical guy. But he knows, and Travis Hunter knows how to do this. You watched any Big 12 football, any Colorado football, you know that his 2 strengths as a wide receiver. Number 1, he can make you miss. But number 2, he could go up in traffic. He can high point a football. He can go and make a play on the ball. Ball skills. It's what helps him as a corner, and he applies them as a wide receiver. And so for me, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, they've got to do more of that with him. That is where he is going to help this team, because who the hell else are you going to throw it to on that team? Diami Brown? You want to throw it to him all that often? Even
he did make a big catch inside of 2 minutes, though.
He did. Real nice out route from Trevor Lawrence. The one ball he can throw, the out, is he throws a great out route, man. He really does. So you agree then it should be offense?
Yeah, I mean, I saw those 2 big plays. I'm like, why has he not been on offense for more of the game. Like, why not scheme things up for him? Like, I get that they do, but like 5 to 10 plays a game, try to scheme something up for him. Like you can do that.
Yeah, I think so. You got to give him some more touches because they're not like super dynamic on offense. Like ETN's off to a really nice start. He's a good player, but they're not like crazy dynamic on offense. And I think they need to they need to find ways to get him more involved because Brian Thomas he's a good player. He's better as a deep threat. He's best at running the 9 route. He's not going to be that guy that you throw it to him over the middle of the field. He's going to make 2 guys miss like Hunter did in space. We'll take one more time out. We'll come back. We will wrap up this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, what is your final word today?
Yeah, I think if you look back to that game for the Chiefs, obviously you're going to be sad. You're going to be disappointed that you came out on the losing end. But if you're Patrick Mahomes and you're Matt Nagy offensively, take out the penalties, take out the interception at the goal line that turned into obviously 7-4 the Jaguars. I think that might have been one of the most balanced, best offensive games that balanced in a way that works for the Chiefs that we've seen in quite a long time. 318 passing yards for Mahomes, but 158 yards on the ground. You don't normally see that from a Chiefs team of late. So the fact that they were able to get the ground, I mean, obviously 60 of it coming from Pat Mahomes on the ground, but I liked what I saw offensively. When you look at the numbers, 7.6 yards a play compared to 5.9, that's great. 5 for 9 on third downs, a little conservative in the 40s. I thought they maybe be a little bit more aggressive in that situation, but hey, you can only do so much. I think clean up the turnover, clean up the penalties, and that's probably a win for the Chiefs.
Yeah, it certainly would have been a win if they don't turn the ball over. If they go and they take the lead there, I think they probably win the game and not throw a 99-yard pick six. Certainly the penalties were killer down the stretch, and they have missed the big play presence on defense. They just haven't gotten that big defensive play in a game that gets them the ball back and gives Mahomes a chance to go win or lose the game. They in all 3 of their losses this year, the game is virtually ended with their defense on the field. It literally ended with the defense on the field against the Chargers and the Eagles. And last night, because of the penalty on the kick return, they never really had a chance to have the offense decide the game there either. Final word for me, something I was thinking about. One of my favorite players from the 2022 Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche, Eric Johnson, announced his retirement and did a retirement press conference in Denver. I guess he retired an Av, which is a neat thing, and did his press conference. Well regarded around the league, had a really nice career, physical defenseman, big guy, big shot from the blue line, power play force, and a big help on that championship team in 2022. And one of the things that he said in his retirement press conference is something that stuck with me. And I've heard variations on the theme before, but it's just always striking to hear it out loud. And I think it's good advice for all of us, no matter what team we find ourselves on, a team in our homes, our team in our community, our teams in our offices. Eric Johnson said it doesn't take any talent to be a good teammate. It doesn't cost anything to be a good teammate. And I just think those are words of wisdom that we do well to hear as we wrap up on this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Brendan and Spencer, I'm Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.